good evening, everyone, and welcome to Weirdblast Does QI. So welcome, one and come all. My name is Eback, and of course, welcome to the show. Welcome, of course, to the QI arcade, where we loot the depths not for coin or gold or quarters, but for knowledge. Queuing up the cabinets tonight, we have Nico from Buddy Games. Not too bad, and on the character select screen we have Laura Petal. And putting in a pound for player 2 is Scarfulu. And scrambling on the floor looking for pennies, it's Weird FTW. Oh, really? You're not audible? Really? I did that with Discord. Come on. You guys...
strange.
Oh, they're muted. All right, well, I'll introduce my cast again, so might as well. We have Nico.
Hello, everyone. Was that audible?
That was apparently audible. And can you hear them? Can you hear them? They're good. They're good. Oh, God. And, of course, on the character section, we've got, of course, Laura Petal.
Sup. I'm not doing that bit again. Sup.
That's fine. It's fine. Scarfulu.
Hi.
And the weird one, Weird FW.
You found me on the floor again.
Well,
this is last time.
It is what it is. So for those that don't know, welcome to QI, quintessentially British show, where the points are awarded for the most interesting and correct answers, while a penalty is issued for the most obvious and wrong answers. This is our little tribute, which I said I'd put together as a part of our reward for Gameblast 2022. And of course, we did it all the way back in February. It seems like an age since we did that, but here we are. So let me do now. Of course, the contestants can get my attention by making a particular sound. They each have a sound to alert me. So Nico goes.
I know that game.
No,
fantastic.
No extra points. And Scarf goes.
Yeah. It's perfect. I'm even wearing my Doom shirt.
Yay! Yeah. It's almost like I planned it.
Wow, nice. That works out nicely.
Laura goes.
Oh, short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. I love
Lovely.
it.
And Weird goes.
That's loud. Where was that scream from again?
That
was I would like to submit an early guilty plea on that one. Eback did confer with me in secret, because as part of a video that I made that you can watch in the YouTubes, they have immortalized that scream from one of our sessions of Mario Golf Super Rush.
It was the Mario Golf one. Okay.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Because there's another one from like is it a Crash game?
We could go through so
forever.
many
Yeah.
of them
Yeah.
over the years.
As soon as I heard that,
so many.
As soon as I heard that, I knew I had to get it for your buzzer, Weird. So that was you in the weird helm scream heard around the world in Laura's video.
You did that, eBay.
What can I say? I am consistent. Hello, everyone in the chat. We're going to be... Hello, everyone. Hello, Kiwi. Hello, wow, everyone's coming. Hello, Liam. Hello, everyone. I've got my QI elves, or gremlins, as I like to call them, in the chat, ready to kind of peruse what you say to me as the truth and make sure that you're not trying to get one by me. Let's start open from the beginning. What was the first video game?
First video game.
First video game.
Oof. Man. Ahoy made him.
Yes, Weird.
Pong?
Oh! Unfortunately, not Pong. Pong, unfortunately, is not the answer. Dear me, let me see.
Good start for me. I didn't hear the klaxon, but I presume it played.
There we go. There you go.
There it is. Hey, there it is. I
just wanted to play the scream. Let's be.
it was the first thing that came into my head, but I knew it wasn't right, and I was like, that can't be
Oh,
it. It's
yeah.
too obvious.
Was it Pong -1?
Oh, I
Oh,
mean, quite frankly, I don't think we're ever gonna decide that. But also we don't get the pictures up. That's fine.
It's just going down. It's like Yakuza 0. It's like, was it Pong 0?
Pong 0.
The origins of Pong.
Elder Scrolls 1. Seems like there've been a steady release of them. So
It's not quite that old.
I don't know the
So-
answer, but I do know one thing, and that it's a British game, and it's mainly like in the 50s, I believe.
Really?
It was. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was it was some sort of demonstration that I don't know exactly how they did it, but essentially on a sort of visualizing oscilloscope machine in the 50s, they were able to do do a thing like that. So I don't know if it was like a Pong rip or was it a it might have been a tennis rip or something. But you could play you could play
Oh.
like this, maybe this. I think it was this tennis game that you could play on this 1950s oscilloscope. I don't know exactly the details of it, but
I
that's
believe it
the
was
one I've
also
got in
in
mind.
Manchester or Edinburgh. It
I'll
was
get-
one of those two cities. It was
I'm
a
a-
university, from what I remember.
I'm unfortunately gonna have to put you out of your mind. I mean, points to Laura, I would say, very interesting for that. For the fact that an oscilloscope game. You're right, but we're losing the term video game, and of course, they weren't always called video games, were they? Yeah, of course. Video games were not.
Yeah.
They weren't originally called video games. They were initially called skill games, or other kind of games. And it was not by the producers nor the media. They were called electronic games, video skill games, TV games, or simply just games. They were very awkward though, and the editor of Cashbox, an American music industry and later general entertainment industry trade magazine at the time, Eddie Adlam, came up with the term video game and used it many terms in correspondence, along with Nolan Bushell, the founder of Atari. And then since March 1973, he liked the term, and the term he started using it in correspondence himself. And in the mid 1973, the term video game started showing up in flyers for Atari to promote their battles. So effectively, the first video game battle could be given to what's called Paddle Battle, which is close. It's very off of Pong. But
Is that pinball? That sounds like it would be a pinball spin-off or something.
it was a Pong clone created for the Atari, actually from Allied, called Paddle Battle. But it's the first time that, at least according to our researchers, could find that the first time a game was referred to as a video game. Before then, as we mentioned, they were not the term. So yes, that's the answer. Video games weren't always called video games. They were called electronic skill games or different things. And although the original Pong was initially called a video skill game upon its release in 1972, it was also later being sold and advertised as a video game. Oh, so off to a good start, but no points to Laura for the oscilloscope. In fact, let's get into that. So Pong wasn't what was the first game that we would nowadays call a video game.
That's kind of right, but not quite for this. Damn it.
So the question of what the first game was called?
No, we're asking like what actually was the first video game. Not like as in like what was what if I wasn't trying to trick you, what was the original I was going to be? But I mean, you bumped up against the term, didn't you there, Laura, about the oscilloscope? Can you recall when it was or what it would have been?
I said, I think it was some kind of like single. I don't know if it was a game that could be played with two people, so which is why my mind sort of gravitated to it being tennis. But it was somewhere in the 50s. Somebody did this experiment on it. I would otherwise look at it myself, but that's not my job. But that's just all that I can.
Absolutely right. 1958, at Brookhaven National Laboratory, on a research analog computer, the Donald Model 30, there was a game written by William Higginbotham, which displayed on an oscilloscope and controlled by regulators, which he called this game Tennis 2. Kind of amazing that back then, you had these kind of there's images there which you can see of the games as they
Mm.
were. Very rudimentary.
Well, I
yeah.
am impressed about that.
So
Any kind of
many noughts and crosses wrong there.
any kind of other examples that people may know of? I mean, naturally, Pong is one that people recall.
Space Invaders?
Asteroids.
They still
Oh, yeah.
kind of. I mean, they still were still quite late. We're talking before like the Atari and such. Space War was from 1962, written by Steve Russell for the DEC PDP-1 computer, which was popular in the MIT computer lab, mostly because it was only available there. He only made it for that one computer.
There was once a time when video games were only for the privileged.
Privileged. Although, funny enough, Laura's is not even the first video game. It was close, but it wasn't. Anyone, can anyone have any idea? I will give you away. It was here in the UK. It was here and here. Quite a well-known city as well. Known for football mostly.
It was in Manchester, was it?
It was Manchester University. Yes, Nico.
Oh.
Was it space football?
Not quite. I don't think they mastered the technology
Oh.
yet.
Was it something?
No, it was quite simply. It was Manchester University, 1952. Christopher Strachey wrote a game for drafts for the Fentari Mark I computer, which is generally treated as the first ever video game. And that is actually what you see right there above you, the first ever video game, which is drafts.
Oh, right.
That's
God
the
damn,
one.
You were showing us the bloody image. Oh my god.
I won't lie. I was tempted to say something like tic tac toe, but I was like, nah, that's too on the nose. It's too on the nose, but it does look like it.
Yeah. Technical problem. First stand off. Yeah. You've seen this through Discord, right? All I see is still like the frozen screen on Ebac's screen share mode.
There we go.
There it is. Thank you.
Now it's it.
Sometimes I need to update that, so I'll try and.
I've been watching the stream for the images.
Shots fired, Connor.
Shots fired.
I was just
Ducking
cleaning
cover,
my
ducking
button.
I wish I had my wasted sound effect. I would just.
Right.
He's fixing it.
Moving on to question 3. What was the earliest date recorded for the use of the term video game?
Oh, bloody hell.
Wow.
Connor?
Oh, hey.
I'm gonna say 1970.
Oh, no, that wasn't 1970. You were close. Yes, weird.
71.
No. Yes, Nico?
Was it the summer of '69?
No, you thankfully avoided my trap because earlier I stated that the first time recorded was 10th of March 1973. However, there's an interesting little asterisk which we have to put on top of that note, which is deliberate trap made by the Gremlins. The question is asking purposely for the earliest date recorded because when you look through the online newspaper archives, you stumble across an entry that contains a typo. The Laredo Times had an article that was released on the 28th of November 1986 about the Atari 2600 video games. But when entering the date of the archive, the year was mistakenly entered as 1896. And if you were doing video games related to video game research questions like the QI elves were for a long time, while on servicenewspapers.com, you would find an article about video games dated nearly 140 years ago.
Yikes.
Yikes is definitely not a problem there. Okay. Oh, dear me. The earliest recorded video game. And some also marvelous art from Burr as well for that one as well. It's just absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, we're gonna have to.
Game's good.
the secret 11th commandment just hands down this
Video games good.
Thou shalt play Pong.
I like this timeline.
All right then. Well,
the earliest recorded draft of William Shakespeare's like Hamlet. It's like alas poor Doom man. I remember him.
Let's move on to our next question, which I imagine several of you might be able to get. Times change from when I hold high score to one table to another. What was the best selling video game ever released?
Oh,
Scarf.
Um, Wii Sports.
No. Oh, no. It's not Wii Sports. Yes, Weird?
I sense a clacks. It's not Minecraft, is it?
Oh!
I got it.
Oh, dear me. No, no, no. No, no, no.
I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. No, no, dear boy.
I
Sorry.
think I got it.
Oh, yeah? What would that be?
Go on.
I think it's recently they actually got DLC. I think it's Mario Kart 8.
You think it's what?
Mario Kart 8.
Mario Kart 8?
Yes.
Interesting.
Or
Interesting.
well, Deluxe. I said
In-
Deluxe.
Interesting. No, it's not. It's not.
Ah.
Good guess, though. Good guess. Laura, you want to try and have a stab at this?
I'll officially buzz in. It's gotta be one of those things that's sort of it's I don't feel like it's one any specific version of it. It's like something that has been re-released over and over and over time again. So my mind wants to go towards it being something like the breakout formula. I think that might be one of it.
Oh no,
I-
it's still
mm.
not.
If
still
we're
not.
talking about re-releases, it could end up being Skyrim. 'cause
I was about
obviously
to. I was thinking.
Hello?
Maybe
That's a lot.
that.
There's a
Maybe-
lot of Skyrim.
Maybe I'll
They
help
keep
it.
bringing that out.
Maybe if I help repeat the question, what is the best-selling game of all time?
Oh.
No,
Oh,
no.
chess.
Got Scarf. Got
Monopoly.
it. Ah,
Yeah. Not video game, any game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any game. Well
I got
done,
it.
Scarf.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Funny enough, although weird, you came close. Monopoly is third with over 275 million copies
Okay,
sold. With the second place, Checkers, which approximately 50 billion sold. Chess, no one has verifiable figures, but it's been around so long and reprinted so many times that it has to be the best-selling game of all time. It's one of the
Yeah.
things where it's so old as a game. There's no.
If there's a record of
Wow.
like the history of that chase, if there's a record of like when that was first played, because that could very well be something. I don't know if it personally, maybe the elves can do it, but it feels like something that has been existed for like even like stretching to maybe at least a few hundred years ago, maybe, or possibly even longer than that.
That fucking image. Just the cat's like, oh no.
And the Gremlins reply, the Gremlins reply, wordplay in our QI game? Of course.
Of course. Of course.
It's
How
very
dare
important.
you?
But yeah, so chess is in fact the best-selling game of all time. Probably even video game, if you kind of count the versions of the games. That's probably fine.
Maybe up there for video games, certainly.
Yeah, so of course, chess is one of the best-selling games of all time. Of course, ancient game, the Game of Kings, as they call it. I've forgotten the rules. Someone remind me.
I mean the rules of chess.
No, I said, I've forgotten the rules. Yes, weird.
According to who?
Okay, yes, you're good to be coy.
Yeah.
You're good to be coy. I'm of course referring
It's-
to a
it's-
game.
The original rules? Has it changed over the years?
I mean, what are you referring to in that respect, weird?
The old rules of chess.
Oh.
You're not talking about chess anymore.
I mean, I'm not talking about chess. I'm talking about another game. Like I said, I've forgotten the rules. Does anyone know what that's referring to?
Of QI?
No. Nico,
Okay.
The rules
I
would be
forgot
something sure
two.
they've made.
I forgot two.
you forgot two.
Yeah, I forgot it too. I just don't know.
That's fine. It's pretty. I kind of expected to catch you guys out with this. You were right to be coy. We're talking about an ancient game again. Not, but our game was even predates chess. Even. Does everyone ever heard of this? The Royal Game of
Oh yes. Oh fuck. Oh, it's a tiny little board game with just little counters and you have to try and it's kind of it's sort of the smallest version of Ludo I think you've ever seen. You have to I think you roll really weird dice in order to try and get your pieces to the end, and then if you manage to land on one of your opponent's pieces, they have to take it back. Is that what that is?
It's very similar. You know, the game which
Something like
I've now posted an
yeah.
image about above, as you can see there.
Yes,
Very,
yes,
very
that's
old.
the game.
Very, very ancient game. Probably one of
Oh.
the oldest games ever found. It
Yeah.
refers to an ancient Sumerian city in Mesopotamia that existed between the 38th and 55th century BCE. Among all the historically significant things that was found from was one of that. The interest here is the roll game of it's so cool because the first board, dice and tokens, dated to the 30th century BCE. So it's several several thousand years old.
I've kind of wanted some sort of set of this just to like sort of complete my collection.
Well,
So to speak.
no,
I saw this on someone's channel, but do they even have the official rules? Or have
no.
they've remade the rules for what they think it could be.
Yes,
or
because
something to that.
they found a tablet that has a variation on the standard rules that make assumptions about, oh, you know how to play the game. Here's this variation of it, but they never have found the original rules for the game. So it's very interesting how people from the British Museum have been trying to interpret how do you play this game based. It's like being given the rules for advanced parts of chess, but not the basic rules. Like
You have
advanced
the
moves,
components, but you have no idea how it
you
all
have
goes.
no idea how to play it.
However, we interpret it may not be how they ever played it before. But do we know for sure it was definitely a board game?
Oh,
Is it
most
somewhere
certainly.
in what is? I mean,
Since there were many copies and variants of the game that were found all across the Middle East, as well as far as Crete and as Sri Lanka. For a long, long time, no one knew how the game was played until 1980s. The curator of the British Museum, Irvin Finkel, deciphered a Babylonian clay tablet from around 117 BCE, written by scribe Iti Marduk Balatu, describing how the game was played during that time period, including details about gambling. Based on those descriptions, Finkel was able to reconstruct how the game may have been originally played. The raw game of uses 4 tetrahedrons, aka 4d4s, dice with 2 corners marked in white. The number of white corners tells you how many moves you can do on the board with your token, or whether you can put a new token on it. The player who gets all their tokens through the board first wins the game. The game mixes elements of luck, strategy, as there are areas of the board where you can knock your opponent's token off the table, whereas there are some areas where you're safe. And in the gambling,
were they able to decipher?
yeah.
So, were they able to decipher? I'm having a look at the board. So the assumption is that because there are more spaces on the one side, and there's like this channel of only two long and only one wide, and then so do they have to get their markers from the larger side of the board, I guess, to the smaller side of the board?
Yeah,
I think that's probably the way that
you
it
enter
works.
from the neck where the I1 passes are. Both so one player on one side, one player on the other side. You go down the channel, then you meet at the bottom of the board, and that's where you intersect into the main channel that goes up the board to the kind of the points to the side. Notice the flowers. These are your safe zones, supposedly. So if you put you cannot be knocked off those zones. So that means between the end of the board and where you are safe on those roses. It's a fascinating game. I've actually in university I studied game design. I actually had to create a variant of this as part of my rules. I actually got to see the board in person. It was quite amazing, actually.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it was certainly an experience. The game was solely go on.
No, I was going to say that sounds like an interesting tabletop simulator project for you.
Yes,
Your variant on there. I'd be willing to try that.
the game was slowly, by the end of the classical era, replaced by other popular games, often based on its rules like Middle Eastern backgammon or Indian pachisu. That was later streamlined into modern times to make commercial success as Ludo. The raw game of with its over 5,000 years, is the oldest board game with known rules. So yeah, there you go, the raw game of everyone.
Well then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
The universal response is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
And you go, oh, I know what you're talking about.
My
Look
next
at this
question.
very important history. It's like without it, we wouldn't be able to do what we do today. Which is because it's like, meh.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next question. Why do video games suck?
Oh.
What? Oh,
This is too-
where's
this is
where's
too
the question
tailored, I'm
exactly?
sorry.
Why do adventure games suck so bad?
How many reasons do you want?
Oh. Oh. Wow.
This is very
Wow.
tailored.
Yes, Nico.
Because they're all scum.
Oh.
They're not. Well, I mean, it's a good joke,
I mean,
but obviously not all scum.
no, they are those guns. Some of them are, but none of them, not all of them are.
Yes.
Hold on.
Hold on. Scarf buzzed in.
Hold on a second. Hold your
Okay,
horses.
all
Okay.
right. Okay.
Yes, Scarf.
Among the several reasons that adventure games suck, I'm possibly assuming this is referring to the Ron Gilbert's article on his blog years ago, which
Points.
is which was the reason he actually, started to develop the way that adventure games were played for The Secret of Monkey Island. But he kind of figured out that the reason that a lot of people don't connect with adventure games, at least pre 1990, was the fact that like a lot of them just weren't made fairly. Like there were dead ends, deaths everywhere that would hold you back, puzzles that would be approached in the wrong order, and that sort of thing. So he made a set of rules on his blog that basically kind of detailed this is what's wrong with adventure games, and this is how we can fix it. And from there we got Secret of Monkey Island.
Points. All I say is points. That's precisely the answer that I was looking for. Well done, Scarf. Well done.
Like,
I heavily researched this for my Monkey Island video. So.
Yeah.
praise the Ron Gilbert. Praise
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're correct. Ron Gilbert writing an article in Journey in Computer Games in 1989 called "Why Adventure Games Suck." He proposed a lot of solutions, as you mentioned. He'd already implemented many of them in his previous game Maniac Mansion, and was in the middle of creating another called The Secret of Monkey Island. His approach, albeit not fully implemented in any of his other games, resulted in transforming the old adventure games into new, much more friendly and exciting point and play clicking games. So there we go. It's well done, Scar. Well done. So from one Ron to another, why would Ron never shut up while you're watching a cutscene?
This isn't going to be the same Ron, is it?
Mm.
No, of course. No.
Wrong.
I'm looking at the image. And I'm like, where is this going?
Images can be
Is this-
misleading.
It's yeah.
Why wouldn't Ron shut up during cutscenes, you say?
Yeah. Why would Ron never shut up when you're watching a cutscene?
Is Ron the name of some sort of narrator in a particular game? Or
Yes, yeah. You're brushing up against the answer. Maybe out in the wild somewhere, out in a wasteland, perhaps.
Fallout?
Scarf.
Yeah, it's Fallout. Ron Perlman is the narrator of the Fallout games. That's why he wouldn't shut up during a cutscene. From Fallout 1 through to New Vegas, but not Fallout 4. Ron Perlman narrates the intros for the Fallout games.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh.
You are correct. Now,
War
now,
never changes.
more specifically, do you know how they did it, Scarf?
How they did it?
This is very
That's-
important.
Oh. I don't know how they did it.
Anyone
I
have any
assumed
guesses?
they recorded him in a recording booth, but that's probably not right.
I mean,
Did
you
they
are
record,
right.
Did they record like a bunch of him and he just would never just stop? So he had to cut.
He's still
just cut
talking
out
to this day.
Exactly. He had to cut out just the little bits they needed, and it was just like, we've got all this spare recording. We're not going to use it. Is it something like that? Is that why he wouldn't stop?
You're kind of. You mean you've not.
Did he-
Nah.
Did he originally like you know how sometimes like some actors would be given the script of what they're meant to say for whatever narration or dialogue that they're going to do, and you know when they get told they can do some ad libbing. I'm probably spitballing here, but I'm thinking like when Stephen Merchant did Wheatley for Portal 2, it was told then like Yeah, you can do a whole bunch of creative licensing with this. You can here's a base script, but you can say whatever the heck you kind of want over there, and that's how we got Steven Merchant's absolutely flawless performances weekly. But I don't know,
It's
I don't know how do you
it's
flip out a narration like that?
it's
But
less to do
from
Yeah.
with
scratch, I think,
it's
yeah.
less to do with the narration itself and more like how they delivered it. Nico, do you have any ideas what we're talking about here?
It's gonna sound stupid, but it might be something technical. Was like when they
Ah.
were in the recording booth, was it like the cut? They want to
Oh,
like buzz in. Was the cut button or
No,
something
no,
broken? and
but
they just kept
you are
talking?
on track with it being a technical thing. Yes, Scarf.
I think I have it. I think you might specifically this might specifically be about New Vegas, where the slideshows are actually rendered in game, and behind that is an NPC giving Ron Perlman's voice out of it.
Absolutely right.
That's it. Yeah,
Points. um,
yeah.
so Ron,
Right.
the narrator, based on the actor Ron Perlman, is an NPC that makes all the sounds for the cutscenes in Fallout New Vegas. The engine of that game does not allow you just displaying videos on a screen. So instead, the player is teleported to a movie screening room. The movements are disabled, and the player can only look straight at a wall on which the cutscene is projected. All the audio, sound, and voices of the cutscene are made by assigning them to an NPC named Ron, who is hidden behind the screen wall and makes the sounds. Similar techniques were used in Skyrim with the whispering lady behind a locked door, except instead of a woman, all the sounds are assigned to a nightstand because it takes less memory, and it's a nightstand speaking to you.
Such a pathetic thing to do.
And this repeats in many other games. Like if you had to have a voice without a body, the body is there except you can't see it. E.g., Warsome Gulch Herald, voice in World of Warcraft PvP, is a dwarf turned into a tree stump. The NPC is in Half-Life make the boop boop sounds when pressing the keys on the keypad. You can see their mouths moving.
So they
Yes.
don't do an audio overlay. They just get an NPC to read it out, and they just have the like whatever in-game camera pointed towards it.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
that's
It's
bizarre.
it's the reason why in the ending slideshows, the beginning slideshows of Fallout New Vegas, it'll still say in the top corner, you take a sip from your trusty Vault 13 canteen, because it's still rendered in game. Your character is still there, and it's still you still occasionally drink from the canteen at different intervals. So it appears on the cutscene.
Is that direct?
That's-
So is that directly right at the beginning of the game? Like when you press like
No.
new game in Fallout New Vegas and it starts cutscene one, never change it. That's what it can do, because I remember doing that like last month when I did my play of Fallout New Vegas.
Mhm.
I didn't realize I was just staring at just a wall with the projection of the thing, and then Ron Perlman was just
Yeah.
standing behind
Just
it.
there, like,
that's
just
it.
chilling.
Behind you, just there, hovering.
He's there. He's always
War
there.
never changes.
I mean-
Look at me. Look at me.
I mean, does anyone have any examples of like corners cut like that in video games? Whereas there's a technical limitation that they find a creative solution for, shall we say?
I mean,
Ooh.
the one I would think of as another Fallout one that Shadow already mentioned. I think it might be both New Vegas and Fallout 3, whereby sometimes trains are just like a hat that's on top of an NPC that runs really quickly. Because that's the best way to get the train to move.
Yes. remembered about that.
The-
Remembered about that, and that was
The
quite-
impression I get is that the engines that Bethesda uses are very janky, but there's lots of ways you can work around things.
What about you, Nico? You got any kind of fun hacks that you've done?
No, not really. In all honesty, it's like with the Bethesda games, I've only really played Skyrim so far, but I should probably get into the habit of playing more of them. I don't really have a lot to add to this topic.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, it is a fascinating engine to work with. For my project at uni, I made like a level in like a small area in the Garden of Eden creation kit. Oh, it's a jank engine. It's a jank engine. Oh dear me. Right. Well.
Was that the one you had access to? Because I remember because I also did like some sort of game design modules as part of my university study, even though it was mostly in sound that I did. Like I was basically half music department in my university and half games department in my university. So I remember doing some modules. Like, you didn't use Unreal Engine 3 at all, or like any Unreal Engine?
Oh no,
stuff?
we used Unreal Engine, but for my dissertation, I decided that I was going to make a level in an area in Fallout.
Oh, your dissertation.
Yeah.
Your project.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's a great image. That's just exactly what I imagine.
Yeah, there it is,
Soul
right there.
stick through the wall, just like I'm here.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
god.
There he is. There he is, Ron the narrator. There he is, right behind the wall. Oh, oh dear me.
Oh my god.
All right then. All right then. Yeah.
Ron. Ron
I always-
never changes.
I always thought I was being watched. Ugh.
All right then. So let's move on to our next question. Do your best impersonation of the character I'm describing. Usually voiced by Charles Martinet. Easily recognized by his color scheme, mustache, and letter on his hat. Often appears in family games alongside most other famous character Mario. And he also has a lot of games of his own. Out of the Mario franchise, only Mario himself has more. Who am I describing? Scarf. Ah, yes. Just a bit too late on that one, Nico. Nico, what was you gonna buzz? Did you have the correct answer?
I was gonna go for Wario.
Yeah.
Do you know why Wario is basically notable in terms of this?
Meaning his voice.
Well, why Wario is very notable in terms of a number of games.
Oh, no, not quite. I only know like
Something-
the reason of his name, why he got his name, but that's about it.
Oh, please do
Yeah.
tell. Might get a couple of points.
Oof. I'm really sorry, Laura, if I'm gonna butcher this, but I believe that Waru means in Japanese means bad, and Waru sounds a bit like Mario, and so it's like Wario, like that. So
Like the bad
Yeah,
Mario.
yes, I can see that. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
yeah, and that's why they went for
Hmm.
it. They were like, oh, like it's the M is upside down, it's W, so we now can work with that. So it's like all kind of just aligned perfectly to make him
Points.
a villain.
Points. That is absolutely right. Yeah.
That's
It sounds
Yeah,
like the way
that's
they
what I
come
called it
up
that.
with. It sounds like the way they make up Pokemon names. Waru and Mario make Wario. That's how they make a lot of the sort of the portmanteaus in.
well,
Just
isn't
to
that
kind
also
of-
like
Yeah,
what Pikachu
that's-
means? Isn't
Electric
Pikachu
mouse.
like what is it like? electric mouse?
Chew is the like the squeaking sound of like a small cute animal like a mouse. What Pikachu is, and Pika Pika is one of these strange like Japanese onomatopoeic like bits of words together that and Pika Pika specifically is like the sound that would be used for something that's sparking like a small electric spark
Oh.
is when you see that okay, something went Pika Pika. And there's a lot of words that are like that in the Japanese language. Like the you might have heard another one that's like Doki Doki, like there's Doki Doki Panic and Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki
Yeah, it's
Doki
a heartbeat.
being the heartbeats.
Yeah.
That's like a really big heartbeat that goes on. And they have a bunch of other ones, not just for like sounds and onomatopoeias. It's just for general feelings. There's a Waku Waku as well, which again has turned up in a few like games from Japan titles wise. Waku
Sonic
Waku being
Patrol.
like this is Waku
Those
Waku Sonic Patrol
yeah.
car,
Yeah.
Waku Waku, like loads of things, yeah. Like
So-
limited to maybe kids games mostly, like kids game titles where Waku Waku is like this feeling of like I'm very surprised and very excited that Waku Waku start. I'm very excited.
I was very surprised by Waku Waku Sonic Patrol car. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
So to back, the question was about like why is it notable that
Yeah, because
what was the phrasing?
I was asking you to describe Wario, and you didn't fall into the trap of answering Mario or Luigi, thankfully.
Yeah.
But no, he's notable the fact that even though Luigi is more kind of well known and existing longer, Wario has more games than Luigi. Even only it's
So
He
it's
doesn't
one of
fall into the sidekick curse.
Yeah.
He's become all his own sort of entity.
so it counts like the Wario Land games. You got WarioWare.
I'll-
Is that, like, are those the main series?
in fact,
WarioWare games,
I'll allow points if anyone can tell me how many Wario games there are.
Oh my god!
Oh, give me a sec.
Jesus.
12.
12.
We got 12?
Yeah, that's a good guess. I don't know.
I'll take a stab in the dark.
We're going by Price is Right rules, so it's closest to whoever's closest without going over.
Okay, I'll stick with 12 then.
Okay, I got one.
Go on.
I think it's 11.
Oh, you
Ooh.
bastard!
Undercut weird.
Like actually, it got close to it. I counted it in my head, and I was like, yeah, I think it's 11.
Scarf.
Oh no, he's got one more. Ah no, I think it's 12. Sorry, I forgot he had an NES game. Ah,
I don't know. Because I can think of some of them, but I just don't.
Just guess one. Just a random number. Or say
So
the same as
what?
me, apparently.
You guessed 12. What do we guess? I'm gonna guess a number that no one else has guessed.
Nico's got 11. Weird's got 12.
Laura.
Any more messed up.
I'm gonna maybe push the boat out a little more because maybe specifically asking for where Warrior is like the proprietary character of it, like the main one, or where he's making
Yeah,
an
not
appearance, 'cause
not
if
the
he's
one.
made a-
Not
if
the
he's
one.
made an
Yeah.
appearance, then
No, we're
'cause I'm
talking.
thinking
We
of,
are
I'm thinking of some
talking.
things. I am thinking
Yeah.
of like some Super Nintendo stuff that has at least got the character in, maybe not like in a starring performance role, but there's like other kinds of games that
No, no.
just feature the
Main
characters.
main
and it's like,
games that
oh,
have him as a
oh,
like a in there,
yeah,
in terms of the main
I had the
performance.
same sort of thinking.
as a
'Cause
mascot in it.
A main feature.
18. That's what I'm gonna push the boats at. 18.
Okay.
Alright,
In which
Scarf?
case, I'm gonna say 14 then.
It's Laura who takes the prize. There are in fact 20 Wario games.
Oh.
Oh, are you
God
serious?
No, there's
Okay.
is this including arcade games and things like that?
well, I'm
'Cause I
gonna
remember
I'm gonna
I
go
remember
through them.
looking through like the Sonic the Hedgehog friend when I was doing my marathon, looking through and seeing so many things that were just like they were either mobile only or they were just featured in like Japanese arcades and things like that. So I
This is
imagine there's probably a whole bunch of entries where Wario
you-
just claims that
this
as
this
well.
is where I wish I had my list down here and a pair of Fry-esque kind of glasses I could put on. And so there's 8 Wario Land games, 9 WarioWare games. There's Mario and Wario, Wario's Woods, and Wario Blast featuring Bomberman.
Ah, okay.
Okay,
Bomberman.
yeah.
Whoa.
Mhm.
Not
Okay.
not even counting like Mario Picross as well, because
Yeah.
that's the example I was thinking of, like Mario Picross, because
Has there been a
it's a
Wario Picross?
Oh.
Weird. You have the Super Nintendo online stuff
I've-
on your
I've
Nintendo
nearly
Switch,
finished.
right?
I've nearly finished it. I'm like on the last ones, and I know that it is Mario and Wario that are the two main characters because they got
Yeah,
different
that's what I
types
was
of Picross
thinking of when I
challenges.
was that's the one I was thinking of when I was
No.
trying to do
But
the
Mario's still the
counter
signature
initiative.
character for that game because he's practically plastered on the front of it.
When which even from comparison, Luigi's got 8 games. Bless him. Luigi, for Luigi Mansion games, Luigi's Hammer
Mhm.
Toss, Mario's Missing, New Super Luigi U, Dr. Luigi. Even Yoshi's got more games than Luigi's got games. Oh dear.
Poor
Jesus.
guy. Poor guy.
Oh,
It's a sidekick.
Why
It's the curse of. It's the curse of the.
attention to Luigi?
It's the curse of the sidekick because he's practically just a clone of him.
yes.
Of Mario, at least. So.
Also, hot take: Wario games are better than Mario games. Just saying. Like,
Ooh.
please bring back Wario Land, please.
Well,
I mean, I like
Ooh.
3D
I do
Mario's
wanna
different
give him
ballpark,
that,
but
though.
2D
Yeah.
Mario, no way. Wario Land is better. No
I think I
way.
got my next. I think I got my next marathon.
Oh.
well, yeah.
It'll be short. It'll be shorter than like Legends of Zelda or Sonic by a long shot. Then
It's
yeah,
giving. They'll all be
very much more
they'll
manageable.
all be shorter then. It'll be shorter than Kingdom Hearts. That's for sure.
Good luck with the.
He
Oh,
just reminded me
Lewis,
that he
you
has
have
to do
to-
that. Yeah.
I'll see you in
I don't know how you're gonna do this.
2024.
I don't know how you're gonna have to do this, but you're gonna have to whack out a Virtual Boy for that. There's
Yeah.
one Wario Land
Yeah.
game on Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
So have fun with that one. Hope there's an Elgato Virtual Boy capture card somewhere.
Burr's already got the title. Weird if you doing the Warrior-thon.
The Wario fun.
All right, so
Oh,
let's.
God.
So yes, even Yoshi with Toy Games has more. Poor green. I mean Luigi. So let's move on to the next question. Why is it a bad idea to take your cat on a rescue mission across the galaxy?
Oh. Why indeed.
They forget
A
how to
cat-
land.
Yes.
Cat on the mission. A cat on the mission.
Is this in reference to a particular video game or something?
I mean,
Like Ratchet
naturally.
and Clank or something like that?
I mean, yeah. No.
I fear the
game has
day
a
you'd have
cat in
I fear the day you'd have a zero gravity on a litter box, though. That
Oh.
would not be a good
Oh,
time.
no.
no.
That would not be a
no.
good time.
Oh,
yeah.
So that would be
bad
my
enough
answer. But
on
I have
its
no
own.
clue.
A cat in Zero G. What
Hmm.
game has that?
Well,
Oh God.
I mean, you're assuming zero G. You're the ones who went with zero G. But yes, cats. Why? So to repeat the question, why is it a bad idea to take your cat on a rescue mission across the galaxy? Yes, Scarf.
This is probably totally wrong, but for whatever reason, my brain went to Red Dwarf. Because the cat might become an entirely new species living beneath the ship.
It might become Danny Don Doodle.
Yeah.
Danny. I'm
Yeah.
messing up his name. Sorry, Danny
No,
John.
yeah. Danny John Jules, who played
John
Gex at one
Jules, thank
point.
you.
Yes.
Oh, he did.
He did play
Yeah.
Gex, as Nico and I did on the stream on your channel. Nico.
I'll get Gex 3 specifically.
Gex 3, yes. So yeah, any ideas like what we're talking about here in terms of the cat and outer rescue mission? It's related to a space
rescue
simulation game. I will say that.
Is it like Eve or something?
No, but you're kind of going up
Online
against. You're
as
going against. You
pets.
know, no.
Seems
You're
got
close.
weird.
You're close though. It is kind
Oh.
of like that.
It's not No Man's Sky.
No, but you're getting closer. You're getting closer to the game, less the context.
No,
I'm trying to think of a space game though. The
Is
other
it
one
maybe-
that comes to mind is Elite Dangerous and that sort of games.
Well, point to Scarf. It is indeed
Yeah.
related to Elite Dangerous. Why is it
Okay.
related to that in some way? Can anyone know why?
Was there an incident that happened like during some sort of like a raid event? A player like did a thing like
Oh,
sort of like a Leroy Jenkins situation, but it was like somebody was doing like this live raid event and maybe their cat came into the room and buggered everything up,
Yeah,
like crashed an
is it-
entire
well,
economy
isn't
in a
it-
space system
Was
or
it a
something.
streaming?
Isn't it like
a streaming incident or something?
yeah? Because it's a VR game, isn't it? Or it can be played in
You
VR.
can play in VR.
It
No,
can
they
be.
didn't kick the cat, did they?
Did
Oh, no.
did someone kick a cat in
No,
VR?
The cat was
thought
not.
we were creating
No
an
cat.
incident
No
rather
cats
than
were
actually happened.
harmed. No cats were
Okay,
harmed.
okay.
So I'm gonna put you out your misery. It is related to Elite Dangerous. So Elite Dangerous is a very big kind of simulation game. And there's a team on there, a bunch of players called the Fuel Rats. And basically, Elite Dangerous is such a high simulation game that you can actually end up stranded in space with no fuel. Because you can like plot a jump and then not have enough jump for the trip home to fuel your starship. So whenever a player is stranded somewhere in space with no fuel to reach any supply station, you can call on them outside the game and organize a rescue mission. This is important because fuel powers all systems on a ship, including life support. And if you die in Elite Dangerous, you die in real. No. But you lose all your cargo and all this data.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not quite permadeath then. You don't.
No, but you
have to
do.
start
You have to-
fresh.
You
Yeah.
stave off death by eating the cat.
No. Thank you for that. All its data, cargo, loadout, which might have been worth months worth of playing, you could potentially lose though. One of the most spectacular rescue missions was called, and this is not related to the cat, but more like just an idea of what these guys do. It was called Beyond the Dark Edge mission from 2019. A pilot called Deluvian, who held the world record for reaching the furthest reaches of Elite Dangerous Galaxy a few times since the game released, with a specially outfitted custom ship, wanted to beat the record again, but because of an error in fuel usage, he got stranded. The Fuel Rats member, Crunchy Bat, on his team spent almost a month on calculations, preparations, and gathering resources, and then another on reaching the stranded Louvren because he was over 600 hours of Super Cruise, that's the elite version of faster than light travel, flight away. In the end, the mission was a success, and Louvren was refueled and escorted back to civilized parts of the galaxy, and the Fuel Rats confirmed their awesome status once again. But this is
So
a
the
direct.
cat was to throw us off.
No, the cat is relevant because here's what we get. Here's where we get to this story. The direct reference is to a failed rescue mission. So the Fuel Rats present the stats of the most successful and failed missions on their website at this moment, and it's over 124,000 successful rescues with a success rate of 96%. There's also that 4% of failed missions. And one of the most bizarre failures was in 2018 when a Fuel Rats member was almost finished refueling and restocking a stranded pilot, or when the Fuel Rats member's cat jumped onto the keyboard and accidentally ignited the engine boosters, causing both ships to collide and explode. Whoops.
I was onto it then. Something that somebody's cat did like live to mess
Yeah.
up the game. Then
Yeah.
I feel like I was onto something then.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So Scarf gets a point for the Elite Dangerous, and Laura gets a point for getting quite close. But yeah, whoops. Since then, the Fuel Rats have put in emergency They put in measures to prevent this. Like, I think they say lowering the landing
leash.
gear. A leash. Closing the door is that. But yeah, yeah.
Do not disturb outside the door. I'm conducting a very dangerous rescue mission. I'll be gone for 2 months. Wish me well.
Oh man, we would have never got away with that in our childhood. It's dinner time. I can't pause. I say,
I can't pause this rescue mission. Somebody just trying
we have
to
taken
travel all the
security
way
measures.
to the reaches of this universe.
We have taken security measures. I've got a dog. They're less intrusive. They know their place.
it is case that the Fuel Rats, and thankfully they did compensate the pilot for that, because of course it was a complete accident, no one at fault. They did manage to jape themselves when they said that a Fuel Rats co-pilot caused an erroneous maneuver in that. So yeah. So there you go.
Private Tiddles. Press the wrong button. Sent the fuel injections just a bit too much.
Take care of your cats, everyone, or they'll launch you into space.
What a story, though! What a story!
Sorry, and personal comment about like Elite Dangerous. Never played it myself, but I'm aware of like what a commitment that playing Elite Dangerous is, and even like EVE Online that I mentioned previously. Like those games are massive, and they take a lot of like people make almost akin to livelihoods in that game. It's like kind of Second Life-ish almost.
Yeah,
Second Life in space.
But even then, like planning like this ragtag I guess sort of ragtag team, although they seem pretty organized to be more than ragtag. But
you could search them. You could find them online. The Fuel Rats, yeah.
Yeah, a month to just plan a rescue mission for somebody who's like gone way too far off course, and another month to reach them, and probably like another month to cart them back to safety or something like that.
Yeah. Bear in mind,
that's longer than like what mountain rescue can do. I know my sister works in mountain rescue, and they're calling out. They do it within the day.
And these are people who are saying, "Okay, we need to fuel this ship, and then make sure that because it's relaying, isn't it? It's a case of this ship will fuel this ship, which will fuel this ship, which will get to the rescue mission, and then the rest will cart back when they need to. So yeah, it was a very long rescue mission. It was quite a thing within the community. I mean, I don't play Elite Dangerous, but yeah, it was. Can you imagine that?
At that point,
spreadsheets in space. I've seen Shadow put on there. That's like, okay, yep, that tracks.
At that point, I'd just start a new account. I just start a new account. Well, just sit there, just be like, no, get me one day.
They'll get me one day. One day. Would you become your own rescuer in that situation?
No, I become someone else.
Fair enough. Well,
it'd just be me with a mustache. That'd be it.
They'd find you like Tony Stark floating in the Milano at the start of Avengers Endgame.
I was thinking more like
Identity Crisis, trying to rescue yourself. Yeah.
I was thinking more like Austin Powers at the start of the second film where he's frozen. But stranded out in the dead of space. I can't think of any more worse than a nightmare scenario than that. Which to be in that situation would be a nightmare. Speaking of which game will give you the worst night terrors?
Oh God! Why would you use that image?
I asked the question. I blame the brain on it. Yes, Weird.
For me, it was Super Mario 64. For one character in that game, which is a giant fish that seemed to have no eyes, it would swallow you whole if you went too close. That gave me the Ghiblies.
Oh, well, I mean that'd give the eel would certainly, yeah.
The piano was fine. The eel was all right, but the giant, it's meant to. I think it's meant to have sunglasses or something. But to me, it just looks like it has no soul.
Scarf.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just. Is there a game called Night Terrors or something? Or
no? But you're on the right track in thinking of it being a game. Yes, we. Nico.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer to it, but I do have a similar story. Maybe that will inspire anyone. But you do have the Tetris effect, if you haven't heard of it.
Mm.
So
I
the Tetris
I wanna play
effect.
it, yeah.
Yeah, so no, it is a game as well, but it's named after an actual phenomenon. It's an actual medical term. So what happened back in the 80s is there were a couple of people that were playing Tetris for such a long span of time. It's kind of like, when you look at like a conveyor belt and then you start to kind of like see things. It's a little bit like that. And it turned out where people were playing so long for Tetris that when they fell asleep or were just doing other things, they could still see the blocks falling down.
Yeah.
And it's a weird phenomena, but that phenomena is called the Tetris effect.
I'm gonna give
Oh,
you
dear.
some points, Nico, because you are brushing up against the answer here, especially in the right, especially in the era we're talking about here. We are
don't know
in we are in urban legend territory, people. It's worth mentioning.
I have another
Oh,
idea.
I think I know. It's Polybius, isn't it?
Hey!
Polybius.
It's
Yeah.
Polybius. What was that? What were you
that's
gonna
what
say
I
there?
was going
Wade?
for, yeah.
Not what I had, but still.
Well done, Nico. It is indeed. We're talking about Polybius. What exactly is Polybius? If you want to recall what it was.
All I know is that it turned out to be an urban myth, and the urban myth kind of just became an actual living thing in the end. Like, people started to talk about it, people started to make photoshops of it. There are mock-up units of it. I'm pretty sure there have been stores making what is it, like actual cabinets with a video game in it. But the legend kind of became a reality over time, which was interesting. But the actual idea of like people playing the game and then the FBI or whatsoever would get involved in getting your information. That was all part of the urban legend that was found in a magazine or something in the early 2000s. It's a very interesting read about Polybius. But
Yeah.
that's all I remember.
So it was an urban legend started in the 90s, that in 1981 there were arcade cabinets called Polybius created by the fictional company Sinisholin Inc., appearing in arcade parlors in Portland, Oregon. The game was supposedly a secret government project gathering wider populace data on influence of certain images and sounds on the human brain. In particular, the gameplay was supposedly very addictive, and exposure to the games exposure to the games caused seizures, amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. It's a good thing that this wasn't an EA game, because they probably put microtransactions in there as well. Approximately 1 month after release, the cabinets have all vanished without a trace. Inspired by the myth, there have been many prank programs or actual games that have actually bought the name Polybus, including a PC VR and a PSVR developed by Lamsoft and available right now on Steam. So, yeah.
Oh God.
There's also a great
If you get that. Oh my God.
a plug here for
But
Shadow.
they won't take your information, will they?
And
As far as you know.
I was trying to put a name. I was trying to put that name Polybius to something that I have probably heard of before, and it just clicked to me. Ashens did like a self-funded movie that had like other games. They had like Nerd Cube inside, and it was called the Polybius Heist, where I
Oh.
think they were looking for that.
Yeah.
For an idea of that. Yeah, there's a movie that Ashens has made.
There's also
Yeah,
Ahoy has done a video on it. A video about it. It's a very good video. So
Shadow,
I'll
yeah.
recommend that, and also go check out the video Laura mentioned. I'm gonna check it out because I didn't know Asher did a video on that.
It's not really like a YouTube informal video. It's like an actual like made like filmed proper budget movie. Yeah. That I didn't have any like cinematic tenure, but it at least had like DVDs that you could get like maybe from Ashen's website. They may still be about by this point. I think when was that film made? It was in the region of like between 3 or 5 years ago. I think it was the Polybius Heist is what is the name of the film. Yeah, it has like Ashens and Dan Hardcastle from Nerd Cubes is a character in it as well, and supposedly it's quite a bit of a romp, that movie.
Well,
Cool.
I mean, there you go. Go check them out. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So
yeah.
from fictional games, fictional government conspiracies to aliens. How did an alien revolutionize video games?
Nah. Is it in the good sense or a bad sense?
I mean, You can take it in whatever sense you want.
Elf.
No, I'm not saying it. No, not again.
Really? No one's taking the bait?
That image.
Wait, what? Sorry, what?
No one's taking the bait for what the answer's going to
I'm
be?
still-
Can I call
sorry.
out a klaxon?
I don't
Can
think
I
you.
say it's not a certain thing?
I mean, you have to say it to trigger the klaxon. So unfortunately, you then trigger
yeah,
the
true.
klaxon.
Okay.
Just a mention of it will do it.
God damn it.
Even
It's
the
not that
audience,
one.
even the audience could trigger it if they wanted to, but I don't think even they are being silent. At this point.
We're being
Someone
boring.
take the bullet for us. Someone take the
being
bullet.
boring. Apparently.
But no, if you guys can't give the right answer, wrong.
Weird. You've been playing the Alan Davis character so far in this. Why don't you do it?
Fuck you.
Wow.
Not happening. What a terrible score. Not beyond dreadful score.
Do you know what the right answer is then? At least.
An alien revolutionizing video games. Was there some? Wasn't E.T. Was it?
Oh. There we go. E.T. No.
He said it before I bloody did though. Damn it. Yeah.
Yes, Laura.
So, yeah. That was the thinking. Yeah, that game that shall not be named.
I mean, he said it.
That console
he-
that shall not be. He
said it now. So.
I'm hedging my bets on it, but yeah, that game. I don't think it was something like that. I don't know why my mind's gravitating towards the spore game. You know, the one that you can create your own like alien life.
No, it's a bit late. It's a
And
bit earlier than that in generation wise. We're talking.
It's still earlier then, right?
We're talking. Yes.
I'm gonna say Space Invaders.
No, and you're glad I don't have a button for that. So no, it's not.
That's I thought the one that everyone's tiptoeing around. I just completely forgot about the other one.
We are talking about. We're talking N64 PlayStation era here. That kind of era, that generation of I think it's the 4th generation of gaming.
Okay.
An alien.
Yeah, and I'm being
Alien.
no, not Pokemon. We are talking about a game. In fact, the franchise is evident in the title as well.
Oh
Uh,
God! Just trying to remember my own collection now.
Yeah.
Says
I mean,
it's not Lilac Wars, is it?
no. I mentioned
Or Star Fox 64 or anything like that.
No. The name is in the title of the question. So
That was
The name is in the.
Is it like, I don't know, like the Alien Trilogy game?
You're close.
Alien Resurrection.
You got an Alien Resurrection. As Alien
Okay,
Resurrection
yeah, did it.
is the answer to the question.
Oh.
Yes. So now, do you know why Alien Resurrection is the answer to the question? That's the key thing.
Oh.
No,
I think I
have no
do.
clue.
Yes.
I think. Wait, where's my button? There it is.
Yes.
Is it the one of the first games, or the first game to use analog sticks for first-person controlling, like camera controls?
You're dead on
Was
with
that
that
one?
one.
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection is highlighted as a console FPS game based on the 1997 movie of the same title. The game was released on the PlayStation 1 in October 2000 by Fox Interactive. It got very mixed reviews. It was praised for the scary atmosphere, but criticized for graphics and difficulty, but was especially criticized for the control scheme. And I've got a quote from a GameSpot review here. The game's control setup is the most terrifying element. The left analog stick moves you forward, back, straight, left, and right, while the right analog stick turns you and can be used to look up and down. It was the first game to use the classic 2 analog stick setup that is used in first-person perspective and is still a hallmark to this very day, even though it was criticized for it.
Yeah.
Soon after, though, in November 2001, a Bungie game called by the name of Halo Combat Evolved came out on the Xbox. I utilized the same control scheme, and people started getting used to it, and it's now what the standard is in that game. So yeah, it was Alien Resurrection that used that, and was criticized for it. I can't, that's what the surprising thing is. It's people
funny,
hated
it's
that.
funny.
Yeah. Oh
No one's
dear.
gonna get used to this.
Yeah, there it
Well, I
is.
suppose like the thing is, if you give somebody who has never like played like a first person shooter before, like a controller, and expect them to play it, and they're like just wandering around the camera and just going all over the place. So if you're not used to that control scheme, it can be confusing because you don't really know how much pressure to apply to turn around and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So people just end up walking into corners and getting confused.
Shameless plug for the last episode of the podcast that I do with my friends called the Common Dense podcast, where we talked about gaming accessibility and the nomenclature of games and how we take them for granted these days. Anyway, back to our show. Shameless plug. I didn't intend that plug. You just set me up on that one, Scarf. You set me up and just knock them down. And, yes, it was, of course, Alien revolutionizing pudding game. So, from analog sticks to cardboard boxes. Weird. How would you like a BJ in a cardboard box?
Are you talking about VR porn?
No, thank goodness.
Fantastic image, by the way.
Are we allowed to
Amazing
interject? You were asking
Thank-
weird. Are we allowed to interject?
BJ stands for something
I mean,
else.
we can.
I'm
You can interject. Yes, Nico.
I'm guessing this has something to do with Wolfenstein because you got
Oh.
BJ Blazkowicz.
Oh.
And the box in like the way
Is it-
how the game is made in a box in
Yeah,
a weird
is-
way because it's like a piece of paper
Yeah, I
that's
ain't played
folded
this.
rather than like it's actually 3D, something like that.
Yes, you are dead on. It is a reference to BJ William Joseph BJ Blazkowicz, the protagonist of the Wolfenstein series, and of course a cardboard box heavily associated with Metal Gear Solid as a series. The two series take their origins both from Castle Wolfenstein, by Muse Software, released in 1981 on the Apple II, the Atari 8-bit family, and the Commodore 64. In 1987, when Muse Software was closed, the rights to the Castle Wolfenstein IP were purchased by id Software, who went on to create Wolfenstein 3D. The original Castle Wolfenstein was a quite revolutionary stealth-based action-adventure game, and was an inspiration for a lot of other games that would use stealth successfully. One of which would, of course, be the most successful, perhaps you could argue, is Metal Gear from 1987, that started its very own successful series. So, Kojima has said that he was influenced by the stealth in that game. And of course, the stealth was also a restriction of the MSX at the time. So, yeah, Wolfenstein helped birth not only the more recent, later series and BJ himself as a character, but also the cardboard box that we love so much. It's such a... there you go. There's that the original Wolfenstein splash screen. In all its bit glory. All three of those colors.
Is that like Apple II or something?
Yeah, the Apple II.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that before Muse made music, they actually make Wolfenstein games. That's really cool.
Ah, dear me. It's doing its best, as Joe says. You, yeah,
boy.
I Muse. Oh, you, meh.
Wop,
Wah, wah.
Things I didn't think I'd be asked today. Oh my God.
And there is Wolfenstein. There is Wolfenstein right there as it's displayed originally. That is, yeah, just, again, all four colors this time on display.
Ooh.
Is that really pushing the boat out on that one?
No.
Okay. But yeah. So we move on from one good thing. Now, I've got the next question, which is, speaking of blowing, how can you ruin yourself with a blow?
How can you
Ruin yourself with a blow.
ruin yourself? Oh. I mean,
This is
several answers to this question.
There are several answers, but which one is related to the video games? Oh.
Oh, same time.
Who is first on that?
I'm gonna need an arbitration from the Gremlins here. Gremlins, who got the buzzer first? I think there was the shotgun just before, but I might be mistaken. Yep, Shadow says shotgun, so it's Scarf.
All right, okay.
Alright. Yes, Scarf.
Is the idea that like blowing into a cartridge is supposedly supposed to help? Supposedly. But is it actually like not good?
Absolutely. That is precisely what this answer's about.
Damn it.
one of the old life hacks in NES, which also 10 points to Seguin in the audience as well. One of the old life hacks in the NES was that if the game hadn't loaded properly or at all, you should take it out and blow air on the connectors, the cartridges, as this would help the game load after reinsertion. That was not why it worked after reinsertion. The culprit is the mechanism used in the NES console called the zero insertion force. It was supposed to make the inserting the cartridge easily and safe. However, the mechanism that was designed for it wore down very, very quickly, making it harder and harder for the connectors to spring into the right place. Also, the connectors themselves were made from copper, which made them wear out quickly. This was happening for every new NES owner for quite a while. The game was not reloading correctly because the connectors were not sending a signal. So a life hack was started, spreading the pre-internet world, that dust must be the culprit. So a good blow of your Zelda cartridge or Meryl's will put a new spring, haha, in its step.
Giving a good blow in my time.
Oh, I'm sure, yes, many a times. Actually, just reinserting the cartridge would help effectively, and
Just a bit better. But yeah, you'd have thought then if the connect, like an copter is a great conductor and things, and it's like a standard in that one for like transferring information between and like signals and whatnot. But for that to be a material to be as weak as it is, that one you thought like when they made their other like cartridge consoles, you know, like where like Nintendo, they're making the SNES and the N64, Sega doing things like the Mega Drive and the whatever's after that. You thought that they'd like thought about, is there a better metal that we can use for our connection ports?
well, copper is a good conductor. It is unfortunate. I mean, it's metal purity mainly. As Shadow says there, how soft and it's. I mean, we've talked about how it's bad for you. Now, how could it be bad? How could blowing into your cartridge be bad?
Saliva doesn't mix well with copper.
Pretty much dead on. It's the fact that you're putting moisture in there. Moisture from your mouth cause mildew to grow on the connectors, and one day you'd outrightly be exclaiming, "He moldy." Blowing moist air into the cartridges decreases the lifespan much quicker than just normal use. Nintendo even started informing people to stop blowing, and even started selling NES cleaning kits to prevent that bad practice. Although, typical for a company, like, okay, we should tell people to stop doing this. Let's also sell a product while we're doing it.
You think
Go on.
you think people listen to Nintendo nowadays? We had people licking Switch cartridges when they were made out, when people were like, "Stop doing it! Stop doing it!" People like, "Oh God, I'm gonna do it! I'm gonna do it!"
Good point.
And
Good
more to
point.
the think about the who this was being geared at the time. This is children. Children are going to. This is probably being spread. This rumor about blowing on cartridges is being spread among children who are the main players of these consoles. So they're just going to try anything. It's just like, oh yeah, that'll definitely work. Slobber all over my walls.
Playground rumors, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when you consider that some of these NES games are now really expensive. I've got a list here. If in better condition, the rarest titles can get on average $2,000 for what game potentially? Anyone?
Legend of Zelda.
I'm going to guess Little Samson.
Nailed it, Little Samson.
Oh yes.
A £10,000.
That fact, I'll grab an interesting cartridge that I have.
Oh.
Oh yeah, go on.
Show and tell.
Let's go for it.
I'm in suspense now.
Where's my N64 bag?
He has it, doesn't he? Doesn't he? It's something like that.
I'm guessing maybe he does have a copy of Little Samson on here.
Yeah, because people said like the Legend of Zelda, like trying to get like a mint condition like gold cartridge NES cart for Legend of Zelda. They're actually not that expensive.
They're not, no, because
because
people think they're expensive because gold, but they're quite common.
It tends to be the way that the rarer sort of games, or even like anything that's like was released in a limited run, like the rarer things are the ones that didn't sell well, because the ones that did sell well, they're about
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Classic example.
Symphony of the Night, yeah.
So yeah, it's like games that didn't sell well are rarer.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that actually about selling well, because I got a very interesting cartridge here. So Nintendo obviously has their like I think they're called like Nintendo Selects or Classic series or whatsoever. And the idea is that when Nintendo games sell outrageously well, what they tend to do is they just bundle them again and they make them cheaper. So Nintendo actually started doing that way back in the day, and they actually did that for Zelda as well. So if you look
Oh.
at this copy, it's a gray copy of Zelda 2, which is very unusual. It's actually because of that, it's more expensive than an actual copy. And if you look over here on the top, you can see a little Mario saying Classic Series. It's a bit unsharp now, but I'm pretty sure it's there. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
because it's a selects and nobody bought this one, it's therefore a little bit more expensive than the OG. It's probably something that not a lot of people have seen.
We got other game. Yeah.
Then that gets me thinking as well. When I'm thinking of when Sony games sell ridiculously well. Like I'm just thinking back to when they did Sony's platinum hits, like the platinum hit versions of games that sell ridiculously well. Like I would think like it's very easy to pick up the silver label copies of things like. I can remember off the top of my head, I had silver backed copies of things like Crash Bandicoot 3, I think.
Spyro
Maybe,
3.
maybe it was Crash Bandicoot 2, Spyro 3, Rayman. Those ones like silver spined copies of PS1 games. They're very easy to find because they were just like, we can keep reprinting because people keep buying them and we can just like inflate the numbers of what we sell. But original black label, like black spine copies of stuff, they're the ones that kind of sell for the most, and they get bid for the most when people put them up on eBay, just because they're the earlier copies before those Sony games go platinum. And
They should bring back platinum, I think.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That'd be fun.
I mean,
The closest we have now
same
is
thing, whatever it is,
it's gold.
and whatever Microsoft did with their Xbox games, I don't know what the similar sort of scheme was for Xbox, but I know like silver, like I said, silver spines for PS1 games and PS2 stuff, like classics and things.
PS3 did a few silver, like platinum ones as well, I think.
Yeah, that's also what I remember
Yeah.
being platinum.
Yeah.
We've got 4 more games listed here for what they value could be. I've got $10,000. What would that be for potentially? Who knows? Anyone?
Is it? You want to talk NES or
NES. We're talking NES.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess.
Go on.
Is it the 1990 championship cartridge? or something?
No,
It's
no,
that's
you're
like
not.
Mario 3, Tetris, that kind of stuff on it.
No, not that one.
Guess another year. It's
Not-
probably one of
not
those
the one.
guys. 1991, 1992, whatever.
Oh,
Go for it.
Not for that, but it's to 10,000 stadium events. So you're close. 20,000 is the Nintendo Campus Challenge 1991.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
$100,000 for the Nintendo World Championship Gold, an NES cartridge, which
Yes,
are
they
only
did. They did do gold versions of it. Yeah,
very
they
few,
did do gold cartridges.
and up to
Yes.
$1 million for a test launch cartridge of Super Mario Bros.
I got a little fun story about the gold Nintendo ship cartridge story.
Mhm.
So if you follow the YouTube scene, there's this YouTuber called the Angry Video Game Nerd,
Mhm.
and the idea with him is that he makes these episodes about old games, and he collects a lot of games, and he had like some really valuable games as well, and he actually for one episode got an actual cartridge that you just mentioned. But what he did for the episode is he wrecked that cartridge, and people obviously were outraged in the comment section because they were like, "What? This cartridge is insanely expensive. Why did you do that?" And there's only like 26 in the world. But it turned out he just actually used a copy of was it Zelda and just destroyed that one instead because obviously he didn't want to destroy the value of it. But if people were outraged, people genuinely thought that he destroyed a cartridge. But he showed in the video that it was a fake. But it definitely made people shocked when that happened.
It's kind of why you don't see them do it anymore in like review shows. Like, Angry Video Game Nerd doesn't smash up cartridges anymore. JonTron moved on from that, doesn't wreck up cartridges anymore because if you pay the
Cat Icarus, on the other hand.
oh he wrecks toilets and shit.
Can he buy shit? And I'm like, what are you?
He got a very special.
He puts like slices of cheese inside his PS.
I was about to say that. that PlayStation 2 is
That poor
is also a
PlayStation.
PlayStation 2 that's region locked. No, is it not unregion locked? So you can play any region on it. So he just did that on a very fragile PS2 Slim. Look, guys,
Eback, you look like you were coming down with the vapors. Are you all right?
Thousands of these boys, friends, and they break all the time. You don't want these to break.
Yeah, you don't want them to break.
Are they all just Are they all just limited to the slim version of the PS2 model? Is it just the slim model that's region free?
So,
Hold up. Nico,
so-
why do you have 3 PlayStation 2s?
It's
they
actually
keep
for a very
breaking.
simple reason. Look, this is one from Europe, right? This one is from Japan,
Right.
and this one is from Ye Olde America.
Right,
Don't
right.
give him ideas.
that-
Don't give him ideas
and
to get more
there are-
consoles.
There are much easier ways to do this, but we chose to go this route.
No,
yeah.
that's legitimate. That is legit. Well, let's move on to our next question. All that money gone. What a cold shower. Speaking of cold water, what marine animal is responsible for 35% of Ubisoft and over 60% of EA's and Activision Blizzard's revenue? Yes, weird?
A dolphin.
No.
Okay. I think I give it a shot.
A
Anyway.
marine animal.
Yep.
Marine animal.
What marine animal is responsible for 35% of Ubisoft and over 60% of EA and Activision Blizzard's revenue?
See, Sengui and Zarek had the same idea as me. I was thinking Echo the
Animal.
Dolphin somehow.
Yeah, I don't think
Mm.
Echo is related to those
Yeah.
companies.
Laura,
Yeah.
you are
No,
disappointing.
that.
You are disappointing me right now, Laura.
But...
Oh,
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Called out. Marine
Yeah,
animal.
I feel that. Holy shoot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it down.
Is there a play on words with marine animal?
I mean, we are.
Or you're actually talking.
We're talking about an actual marine animal, but it's also
Okay.
it's a term, not a literal use of it. A term that's used. No.
No. Crab?
What show are we on?
Oh,
your
damn it.
show.
Well, yes, Laura.
Oh.
Ebak, you are freaking unbelievable for this. Blue whale.
That is the right answer.
I need to go. I'm sorry, I need to go.
And meanwhile, Nico's just sat here, just like, what? What just happened? That
I'm
was
not-
a
I'm not-
reference like nothing else. Oh my, you son of a. There is a consistent thing on the original QI show, Nico, where every so often it's just like, is the answer blue whale? And this motherfucker just brought it back in. Well, that's the answer.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
the term
That's great.
I didn't know that
oh
one.
my god.
the term whale comes from the poker scene where the players would classify people based on their skill levels as fish with very little skill and the professional sharks who'd hunt them, or by the stakes they play for, or the frequency and how casually they play as fish who play for low stakes and infrequently, and whales who play regularly and for high stakes. That terminology was then borrowed by a gambling community in general, and when the gambling generation into the hideous, repulsive form of surprise mechanics in video games, the terminology followed, and people who often would spend large sums of microtransactions, loot boxes,
Are
booster
called
packs, etc.,
whales.
are called whales.
Mm.
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
See. I understand now. Yeah. That makes sense.
I even said orca whales, but it's not the right fucking word. Damn it.
No, I
Oh
was
my
looking for
God,
a
you
very
sick.
specific.
Yeah, because
Mm.
they are cetaceans. They are members of the dolphin family.
True. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things,
So-
isn't
You just took us for a bloody loop on that one.
it?
Oh wow.
And I'd like to say we are now at the halfway point at question 15 on our show out of 30, so we're doing pretty well. Everyone having a good time so far?
Yes.
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 Oh
Lovely.
yes. Oh yes.
I'm losing. This is what I expected.
Well, we don't know. I actually even don't even know the points myself.
You know I'm losing. Come on.
Well,
I'm the only
You
one to
never
actually get a bloody.
know. You never know.
Was it minus 30 or something? No, 29, because I think I got one thing right.
well, let's see how if you pull it back.
That saliva. So
Talking of surprise mechanics, what do you do if a bug in your game causes a lot of police brutality?
a bug in your game called Ooh. What do you do? Fucking. No,
This
it's
feels
not.
like a this feels like a GTA related thing.
I wasn't
Grand
gonna
Theft
say
Auto
that.
related?
Oh.
Yeah, like the classic GTA or something, like GTA 1 or 2.
Mm.
Do you change it into a different kind of game?
I'm just sitting here. Just what do you think the answer is?
Star Fox Adventures. I'm trying to think of a game that was changed. That was
No, you are really close with that. Literally, you are
a game.
pretty much.
A game was one thing, and it got turned into something else because of the way that things were turning out.
Who answered GTA?
That was Laura.
I
for sure.
said it might be GTA related. Yeah.
You're going to get half points between yourself and Weird, because it
Oh.
is in fact related to GTA, and you are completely right, Weird. In
Okay.
1995, a British studio by the name of DMA Design was prototyping a new top-down video game about racing in the city streets, being chased by the police. The game was called Race and Chase, and it was going bad because the game was boring. The initial modes like bank robbery or demolition run were not exciting, and even adding missions that you could pick up via phone booths did nothing to improve it. Then one of the programmers
It's a GTA. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
one of the programmers actually created a bug that caused the police to become extremely brutal in a short time, ramming into you, blocking your way, ramming into other cars, etc. And that was the spark they needed. The creative leads decided to make an open world game all about life of crime, stealing cars, killing people, escaping cops. And in 1997, it was released under the new title Grand Theft Auto.
Wow.
I'm really sorry for not being able to back this up, but I'm pretty sure there's so many games out there that's like end up like that. Where there's like,
Oh yeah.
I bet like Exoprimal, like the new game from Capcom is coming out, is basically like that. They just have some kind of like generator. But then they were like, oh, what if it generates dinosaurs? And now it's Exoprimal.
I can give an example of like a game that started out as something else entirely and became its own thing. I don't know exactly the circumstances of it, but Devil May Cry started out as a Resident Evil game.
Funny enough, that was going to be a question that I was going to throw up here, but I didn't get time to add it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're complete points for Scarf. Completely right. Devil May Cry started off as originally it was going to be Resident Evil 4. Funny enough.
Yeah,
Conquer is another great example. That started out as a kids game, ended up to be quite a mature game.
Yeah.
Yes.
And trying to remember what Star Fox Adventures was going to be. That was going to be like Dinosaur Planet or something like
Dinosaur
that.
Planet. It was just going to be its own like proprietary thing. Like I think maybe the Fox character was the main character was still going to be a fox, I think, of some kind, exploring dinosaur planets. But then it was a thing where Shigeru Miyamoto took a trip over to Rare Studios because they had dealings in the past, you know, Rare making Nintendo stuffs, and basically in some sort of design meeting they were pitching that we were going to make this originally for the N64 Dinosaur Planet game that had a fox as a lead character, and I'm like, hey, you got a fox, we got a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about we do that? And then
you've made a gremlin very unhappy in the chat about that.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing Shadow very upset in the chat right now.
It would have been probably, if it was left to its own devices and left to its own thing, it might have been even better. But yeah, they had to, because for one thing, it was just like destroying a new IP as is, and secondly, it was tying an IP that was never known for open 3D adventure action platforming and combat stuff. Tying Star Fox to that, it was a bit of a weird move. I understand why, but yeah, in hindsight, it was a bit of a weird move to do. But yeah, that's essentially it. No Dinosaur Planet because Shigeru Miyamoto was like, no, we have Fox McCloud. Let's put Fox McCloud into it instead.
Yeah, so that is the story of Race and Chase, otherwise known as GTA, as it later became known. Moving on to the next question. As Tom Howard would say, it just works. So why would you have to resort to penguins laying exploding eggs?
Because it's Christmas.
Now, we're talking we're talking a reference to a violent video game here.
I was about to say Fall Guys looks very strange.
I've no clue. The only thing I know about penguins is that Kojima actually made a penguin game called Penguin Avenger.
Well, it's not,
it's about
the game involves a penguin for a moment, but it's actually not at all related to that. We're talking about one of the most violent video games ever made. Actually, here, just can I put you guys on the right track?
Oh God!
One of the most violent ones ever made.
Like Manhunt immediately.
Yeah, so, Manhunt is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay, well, in the context of it was the game that did spark a lot, or part of the games that series that sparked this conversation about violence in video games.
Oh, okay.
Boom, boom, boom with a shotgun.
Is this to do with Mortal Kombat?
It is. How is
By
you
chance,
you
yeah.
get half a point. Can you see how it's related to Mortal Kombat?
It's one of the animalities, I believe, in one of the original Mortal Kombat games.
I will
where
I will give you an extra 10 points if you can tell me whose it is.
I'm fairly certain because obviously the poster child, one of the poster childs for Mortal Kombat is Scorpion, and you would expect him to turn into a scorpion, but he doesn't. He turns into a penguin that lays like that egg that explodes. I think.
Points
I
for
think it's
Scarf.
Scorpion.
You
Oh
absolutely
my
nailed it.
God.
Well done.
You
Yeah.
absolutely nailed it. Well done. Well done.
I felt Sub-Zero would have been like a buzzer.
No,
Yeah.
you would be close, but yeah. So a lot of the popularity of the Mortal Kombat fighting series was built on insane, controversial, bizarre graphics, and of course, balancing the line of good taste. And more often than not, falling well behind that line in a lot of people's, a lot of parents and adults' minds, especially with vanishing animations. Around the time Mortal Kombat 3, designers wanted to introduce one of the myths that had already been surrounded in previous titles, like fans created the urban legend that in Mortal Kombat 2 there was another secret fight finisher called Animalities, where you transform into animals and that mauls the opponent. Since Liu Kang's fatality was turning into a dragon, it was easy to believe the developers could have done that, especially because many other urban legends were either true or were later introduced in the series. So in MK3, the characters could turn into wild animals and finish off their opponent with an animality. The team really wanted to have the scorpion, the animal, added to one of the finishers, but its namesake, or one of the most recognizable Mortal Kombat characters, the Ninja Scorpion, was not present originally in Mortal Kombat 3. Instead, they gave the Scorpion transformation to an animality to another character, Shiva. And in fact, there's an image here, right here, of Shiva performing that very move against herself. But later, in the extended version, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy, where animalities were also a thing and also additional characters, including Scorpion, were added, they had to come up with a different animal for Scorpion. So, in one of the most bizarre results, Scorpion turns into a penguin that lays an exploding egg at the enemy's feet.
Is this to mock Sub-Zero?
Classic Ed.
Classic Scorpion. In a Mortal Kombat, yeah, go on.
No, I was going to say, was it put in as sort of like a template? We'll put any animal here just for now while we figure it out. But then they just never figured it out, and they just thought, well, just leave the penguin in.
I think they just thought it would be funny. I think that's just what it is.
Yeah.
That's I think that's the entire point of how later Mortal Kombat added in different forms of the fatality movement, because obviously if you had just fatalities, that was the thing that people were really hung up on, you know, that you saw like with an uppercut you take the entire spinal column and head off a person, and maybe that was one of the ways that they try to shift focus, like try and shift the sort of heat away from that by having these sort of more like light-hearted ways that you can perform sort of pseudo fatalities. So like animalities became a thing.
Yeah, because
friendships then became a thing.
Friendships,
babalities, and
I mean, that's the thing is
just other ways to finish it off without having
because
copious amounts of blood
when you
on the
think
screen.
about it, like the Mortal Kombat fatalities, they're just insane. It's just so it is exaggeration beyond believability. It is it's almost like the developers thought this can't be seen as so violent because it's so over the top. No one would kind of take it seriously.
Yeah,
and yet they failed to consider the American government in that.
How dare you do this to penguins?
Children everywhere are like punching each other, and multiple spines are coming out of them.
They failed to consider the thickness of a skin of most Americans.
Ooh, and that is some thick skin. Let me tell that. We're roasting everyone here tonight, it seems. Yeah, there was redemption. In a redeeming move in Mortal Kombat 4, you can transform Scorpion into a giant scorpion that tears the enemy in half, which, despite the early and disgusting 3D style, looks pretty, according to Burr at least, pretty much like the MK3 animalities. So there you go. Next question as we move on. What is, speaking of throwing animals at each other in ways that Peter would not approve of, what's the catchphrase of this game?
You're gonna probably have to, give me a
Yep.
See, I can't see the picture actually because my
Are you
Discord still
talking
is
about
like acting
this?
up on the thing.
Are you talking about this particular version of Diamond or the other version of Diamond, which was released with something called Pokemon Jade?
I'm talking about. I asked you what is the catchphrase of this game.
Because I want. Did they change it up like briefly for this one?
I'm pretty sure there's two going around. Yeah, I'm scared of saying one or the other.
Do you have
let
something
you-
to
I'll let
say,
you
Nico?
I'll let him trip first, and then I'll try.
No. Because I was
Okay, I'll go.
what I was thinking originally, what I was,
Yeah.
was thinking originally was that there was actually a different Pokemon Diamond release, which was like a balked copy, which was
No.
some other version of
No,
the
no,
game. I actually ended up with a copy
I can.
of Pokemon Jade
Nico,
as
you
well.
you did buzz in before. Lee.
So we
Yeah.
got the famous one, but there's another variation going around. I think it's got to collect them all.
No,
Okay.
Laura, you
I
look like you were
I don't know,
gonna.
I don't know the answer, but I can point out what Weird is talking about because I know like the game that is based off of, like that, like I know what the original game of that is, that making the
It's like
like the-
something. It's like
the
it's like a mobile
the-
phone
I've-
game or something.
Unfortunately,
the
Nico,
bootleg- the
I've
bootleg
I've been
game.
told that yours was so close that it is a buzzable offense. So unfortunately,
Oh, no.
yeah.
That's the only one.
I took a bullet for the team, and you know it's team.
Okay, so it's not gotta catch them all. Does anyone know the reason why that is the wrong answer for this?
Was it because they were getting to the point where without shipping in like so much money into having all the previous versions of stuff, all the previous iterations of the games, all the previous hardwares to play them on, and all the different ways that they could do like the link trading so you can fill up the Pokédexes. Was it because it was just getting so freaking hard to do, and the number of Pokemon they were adding was getting just exponentially more and more and more, that it just became like, we don't think lots of people are going to try catching them all, really?
You're quite
Pokemon,
close.
Just do your best.
You're quite close. So in actuality, this was the first time that the gotta catch them all was not included as the catchphrase for the game. In fact,
So it just didn't.
it just didn't
Didn't
have
have one then.
one. It was the first one game to actually have no catchphrase in there, which you'd expect. Everyone, whenever you say Pokemon, think gotta catch them all. Never was a thing from Generation 3 onwards. It never was a thing. It was visible on the title of games all the way in Generations. Yep, there we go. It's got his
There's
weird
the
one
Freak
there.
of Nature. I
Freak of
found
Nature.
it. I actually ended up having this one. This was teamed with the original Pokemon Diamond, which was released before this one ever was. This Freak of Nature exists, and I have it. Oh,
It of course was especially popularized in Generations 1 and 2, and with the anime, and of course by the original opening song, "Gotta Catch 'Em All." It has, however, been removed and temporarily retired from the games since Generation 3, which is 2003 onwards. The last game to have it was actually before this was actually Pokemon Crystal. The next games, like Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and such, only had the name of the game's version. This was done mostly because the larger and larger amount of Pokemon that had to be captured to complete the National Pokedex, and due to the incompatibility between Generations 2 and 3, because this was the jump between the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance, meant that it made it impossible to catch them all for a very long time. The slogan was later used sometimes, mostly as a reference to the old and defunct but still loved slogan. For example, it was used briefly in September and October 2013 to promote X and Y prizes, but generally speaking, it has never really been used in the context of the game since Generation 2 for that reason. And yet people will say, "What's the catchphrase? You got to catch them all," and it just isn't these days. It's an abandoned catchphrase for the reason that when Dexit was a big thing, they foresaw this ages ago potentially.
This is
Yeah.
such a Mandela effect.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Like, you think it's there, but it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. It's more like you got to random trade them all these days.
It's absolutely was.
gotta have all my friends buy the other copy of the game and have them capture all the things in that game and then send them over to me so I can catch them all.
Mm.
What am I referring to when I talk? Okay, next question. What am I referring to? This, guys. What game should I play on my brand new Nintendo PlayStation console?
Oh, there was a fusion of the two at some point,
Mm,
wasn't there?
There was, yeah.
Was there something that
Yes,
there's
weird.
always a delay on this thing. There was something that never never reach like retail or anything because they were trying to. It was either an add-on or all its own beast where you could where it was just a fusion of the two consoles.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of going up against it.
Yeah.
This, does anyone know more about the story about this before I go into it myself?
Um, yeah, it's a bit complicated and muddy at this point, but
Mm.
it's kind of like Sony was kind of interested. They wanted to help out, and they were like, "Oh, we can make our own peripheral." And then Nintendo was going to do a deal, and then that kind of fell through. Whether the ins and outs about who went where is a bit
Yeah,
vague.
yeah.
And it kind of got, and there's also like this. Some people are bringing like Japanese honorific systems in as well, like what is it? You don't trade with outside companies necessarily when you are working inside. It's very muddy and complicated.
It
What I
is.
do know about the
Yeah.
game you're on about is don't know a lot about it. I know there's game developers or something in it. It's a 2D platformer, and I do remember a Parappa the Rapper going around, and that's it. That's all I know about that particular game.
Well, it
That's
was
on
more
it.
it was more kind of like referring to the story, but this you are right. This refers to the story how Sony had a deal with Nintendo to create a CD expansion for the SNES, which Sony dubbed the PlayStation. But for Nintendo executives, the licensing laws were very skewed in Sony's favor. Sony would keep the rights of the Super Disc format that was to be used, supposedly, which would make them control the license of the Super Disc existing port of NES games. On top of Sony already getting a great deal out of providing the sound chips, or SPEC 700 for the SNES, decided to get rid of Sony, supposedly, and strike a deal with Philips instead. It was announced on the same 1991 CES that Sony announced the Nintendo PlayStation, but the very next day, Nintendo took the partnership away. Sony got pissed, supposedly, as you can tell. And again, this is all based on our own research. Although there's a lot of, as you say, Nico, it's very muddy in terms of who said who. Sony got pissed and decided to make their own console with blackjack and hookers. Nintendo was a family-friendly company that could not have blackjack and hookers in their games. So that's where Sony decided to kind of create the hard-edged console and kind of go to a more teen demographic. And a
Yeah.
console that beat out all its competition. I mean, no one could say when they think back to the era, it was Sony and it was Sega and Nintendo, and then suddenly it was just Sega and Nintendo. Nintendo have always been there, but Sony went out of the gate swinging with the PlayStation.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
as well that Sony also approached Sega right before they made the choice as well, and they got embarrassed by them as well in regards of like dealing and creating a brand. That's what I remember.
Mm.
I do know that Ken Kutaragi then walked up to the boss of Sony and said like, we can do this, and he brought I think the famous saying of like, let's do it or we can do it. And if you play Astro's Playroom on PlayStation 5 and you have the whole banner that you can unlock in the game, you can see basically the history of PlayStation. There is one Astro that's like slams on the desk and says, "We can do it." And it's like that's where the PlayStation was born in that moment.
That's the
Wow.
reference. I was looking
Yes.
at that.
Yeah.
Like, was that a bit of a
That is
Yeah.
precisely, and there it is. There is the original kind of add-on, the original PlayStation right there. The original prototype. It's amazing. It's
Imagine what
a
could have
piece
been.
of history right there. And years later, people have tried to create homebrew games that would run on the prototype. But yeah, unfortunately there are no games to the console that work because
Are there only
it
like a
was
few
just a prototype.
a few hundred or so like prototypes available out there in the world?
As
They get
far
sold
as
ridiculously.
as far as we know, there's just one or two. Like I know that they are rare. Like when they come up, they turn
I
heads.
imagine, yeah.
I mean, yeah, look at that. Just phew. What a reality it would have been to be in that world. Can you imagine
Could have
playing
been.
on the
Mhm.
Nintendo PlayStation? That would have been amazing.
I think I've heard a Devolver Digital skit like this.
Maybe. But yes.
I'm
Yeah, but
playing on my Playtendo.
unfortunately, it was Nintendo that cancelled the deal and cancelled Christmas for a lot of people. Speaking of
Unfortunately, look at what's happened. It's not a bad era these days, really, is it?
talking of cancelling Christmas, why did Tiger Woods have to cancel Jesus and Santa?
I'm sorry, that image.
Wait a minute. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, we all know that Ewan McGregor is Christ incarnate.
Yes, Nico.
Oh,
I'm gonna take a guess here, stab in the dark. So, obviously, I'm guessing that this game was on Nintendo's platform, and Nintendo is infamous for removing any kind of elements of religion in their video games. Castlevania 4 has an example where there's a tombstone and there's a little cross on top of it, and they had to remove that for the European and American version. So that's my guess.
Wrong company, unfortunately. No, but nice try. Nice little reference as well to the thing. That was a weird helm screen first, so weird.
this wasn't at the time of his big scandal, was it?
No, it is not related to his
Big
scandal.
scandal with Santa Claus and Jesus Christ.
No. Like his person, like what everyone knows, like, what he got up to. Like maybe he was like the poster child for it. But if it's not to do with that, then never mind.
No, it's not. Laura, you buzzed in as well.
Right. Another completely shot in the dark one. So I don't think it was a game that was going to be on Nintendo systems. But like we all know that Tiger Woods is a golfer and and he's headlined his own series of golf games, the PGA Tour games nowadays. But I think it's in reference to a golf game that was like before that, because it is actually a thing that I have owned a copy of. I could probably find it if I went back to my home in the UK. I have owned a copy of Cyber Tiger on the
No.
PlayStation 1.
Okay.
That was that would be my idea. It was basically I think it was like a young characterized version of Tiger was one of the playable characters, and maybe they would have had a thing in that game that would have added Santa Claus as a playable character or Jesus as a playable character.
Unfortunately,
That was my stab in the dark.
No. It's not. That's not that. We're talking the 90s here. Late 90s. Naturally, because of course the first game started in 1998. The 90s were known for like their kind of edgy humor. What was kind of like a popular show that was around in the 90s? Anyone? We're talking edgy comedy and edgy comedy shows.
Beavis and Butthead.
Not the 9 o'clock news.
No. We're talking more
South Park.
Weird's on the right channel with South Park.
Well, more Sengui. I was like, is it South Park?
Okay. Well, yeah, you're on the right track there.
It wasn't like depicted in some way in one of these sort of animations.
No.
No.
So we're talking about
It wasn't The Simpsons, was it?
no, it wasn't. In fact, it is related to South Park precisely.
Okay.
The Tiger Woods PGA Tour series, published every year since 1998 until 2015. However, it might have been the end of the World Tour just after the first game release. The PlayStation copies of the game contained a very peculiar Easter egg. If you put the CD into a PC CD-ROM drive, you could find among the game files a QuickTime file which read zzDummy.dat that was sneaked onto the CDs by one of the employees at EA. It contained a pilot episode of South Park called Jesus versus Santa, in an uncensored and certainly not safe for work version. As soon as the publisher found out, they quickly decided that the Easter egg was objectionable to customers and recalled all the copies they could and released the game without the Easter egg file.
What the hell?
Yep, there you go, right there.
What?
Read it and weep.
Yeah,
My God.
Well.
South Park pilot episode. Right.
So yes, so that's
funny.
the other controversy that Tiger Woods is known for. Probably the lesser controversy.
There you go.
Which, funnily enough, was also, I think, ripped on by South Park when it happened.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Of course it would be. Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my dear. Jeez.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, that is probably one of my favorite kind of bits of trivia. Just like, just people have got this South Park game on their shelves and not knowing that this pilot episode is just on there.
You
You
talk
know,
about Santa Jesus, but and I feel enlightened after that story. My God.
That's
Uh,
actually funny you say that, Evac, because most PS1 games you can actually just grab and put in your car
Yeah.
and just listen to the soundtrack.
yeah, you can. It's oh,
That's pretty cool.
oh damn. Right.
But
Moving on. Yes.
Well, how about that then? Even for the sort of the improvement in the sort of the memory limits that the CD format could do on top of a cartridge, comparably, how would you still fit whatever size that, I assume, like QuickTime movie, like was it like a specific, like an AVI file, or just like some sort of like heavily, it must have been like heavily compressed
I mean,
to be able to even fit on the CD format
it's a DAT
with the
file.
memory base allowance?
Let me have a look and see if I can
DAT.
find it, because actually on the screen there you can see it has literally
looks-
someone open
yeah.
up. So
Well, actually, Eba, can I be honest with you? I kind of still can't, because I still have like your Discord
I'm
window
watching a
showing up. I
stream,
don't
and
know
it
what's-
is. It looks it looks bad quality, even for the size it's currently being
It's,
presented in.
yeah, it doesn't
Looks like
have the
it's
size.
50
sadly.
megabytes as well. It's
Yeah,
50 megabytes if I read the screenshot.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's not great quality. Let me see if I can reset my thing for you guys.
That's
to see
actually
this.
really inefficient if that's 50 megabytes. Like you can get that today with for like 2, I'd say.
Are you
Well,
judging
it's a
them
bit
on
of an
the
exaggeration, but
South Park pilot of Santa Jesus? How dare
Yeah, they could have fit so many more South Park episodes on that.
yeah, you can put all season on. Cowards.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
wow.
okay. So I don't know what sort of technical thing you're doing to like switch between your. I guess you're alt tabbing things in eBay. It's like whenever you alt tab and then you don't go back into whatever this screen is, that has the whole layout and such. All I see is just like your Discord window screen
I
share.
wish
Yeah,
I
that's
wi-
all I see right
I wish
now.
I had. Wish I could help you with that. Unfortunately, there's not much I can really do.
Yeah, you're better off just watching it
Yeah.
on the Twitch site at this point, because it's not that much
Yeah.
delayed. But I mean, it maybe is for you. I don't know.
So yeah,
I'll refresh the Twitch stream just in case I can then catch up with it again.
So of course, Santa versus the episode was of course Jesus versus Santa, and gaming is
No,
always
I got a MetaQuest 2 advert. Jesus.
gaming has always been a place for hot rivalries, and when they boil over, the battles are intense. But how big was the biggest battle?
Oh,
Biggest battle.
The biggest battle in gaming history.
Oh God, I'm gonna prompt something here.
Yep, go on with.
No, we've already talked about that game. How it wasn't Eve Online, was it?
Correct.
Yes,
You are correct.
Hey.
You are indeed correct.
Hey.
Shock and horror.
Do you know it?
They had those.
You're gone.
It was like across several days or something. Huge factions meeting in space, and there was. I'm sure there was like in espionage and all the rest of it involved as well. But it was one of the definitely recorded in several different sites as being one of the biggest battles with like the most users and whatnot. So that's as much as I know about it. But it was significant enough to be reported on.
I mean, you're forgetting that there's been 2 of the largest battles ever in Eve Online. 2. Which
Well, I
here
heard about one of them at least.
settle down, everyone. This is a long one. So the place of the grandest and most impressive multiple battles in the course of the most exciting games of Eve Online. Here is there's the picture which I can provide here. What do you guys think of that picture? Now, I will point out.
Guy.
I will
Oh
point
my
out
God.
that's not an artist's interpretation. That is an actual screenshot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get me to try and run that on my computer. It will actually melt.
The
Oh my
biggest battle between players, the massacre at M2XFE, that happened on New Year's Eve of 2020, was a consequence of a previous battle in EVE Online called the Bloodbath of BR5RB. They just roll off the tongue. In EVE Online, most players would gather to find gather in all kinds of guilds, alliances, federations, and other groups to support. Biggest of 2 such alliances are the Pandemic Legion, or PL, which I'll refer to as from now on, and the Clusterfuck Coalition, which is CFC.
That's a brilliant name.
Clusterfuck Coalition. Had multiple small fights for various parts of the galaxy over the years, until on January the 27th, 2014, a player controlling a lawless but strategically important location called BR5RB owned by the PL, forgot to pay the sovereignty fee from it, and the territory suddenly became no one's. The CFC immediately started a massive gathering of forces to take control of it, but the PL responded quickly, and both sides pulled every favor they could on their allies to amass a gigantic armies of 7,500 players. And the resulting battle lasted 21 hours and took nearly 11 trillion interstellar credits, main game in currency, which, because of an in-game market, can be calculated to dollars. 11 trillion ISK in 2014 was worth how? Any guesses?
Too many
Something in
zeros for sure.
Something in
50
six figures.
$50 million.
No.
Something in six figures.
Yeah, maybe.
200,000?
Close. $300,000
My
Oh.
God.
in destroyed ships, including 75 Titan-class ships, the biggest, baddest, and most expensive in terms of time and money needed to make. This now, and I'm just going to shove the image over to a wide shot of the battle.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So the CFC
Imagine
won.
being just a random. Imagine being a random courier, just like not associated with this at all, just trying
Yeah.
to come here to deliver. Oh, okay.
Why is my frame rate going down?
Oh dear! I'll just leave the package here for you. You know,
Walking in with pizzas, the room is on fire. Meme. It's just like.
even if I was a DPD driver, I'd say, nah, failed delivery. You know, you weren't in. I'll leave him. I'll leave a note.
Leave it to a neighbor.
The next planet over.
Yeah.
So the CFC won the battle and consolidated its position as the most powerful entity in the game. Bear in mind, this was not the most biggest battle. This was the prelude to the biggest battle ever. We've yet to get to the main event. Yeah, effectively.
Oh.
Jump forward to 2020, the victorious CFC grew and became the Imperium, ruling most of the galaxy and facing constant minor skirmishes and struggles from other alliances. One of the biggest enemies of the Imperium, a coalition of the Alliance called the PAPI, or PAPI, as I'm going to refer to them as, started another of small skirmishes in the areas M2XFE only between local forces because both sides had warp jammers present, blocking the both sides from calling in reinforcements. But one of the Imperium pilots managed to destroy Pappy's warp jammer, and the Imperium immediately used the opportunity. They called in all the reinforcements they could. Bear in mind this, but we talked about how the last battle lost 75 of these. They called in 257 Titan-class ships, over 3 times more from the battle at the BR5RB. It also cost players over $378,000. It would have come an even bigger battle and lasted much longer, but a gigantic number of players fighting in one place caused server issues and a mass disconnection, leading to hundreds of players stranded on the battlefield, which later led to a massive jailbreak effort to liberate these stranded players.
Can you imagine that? This massive battle. Oh, sorry, my Wi-Fi's a bit dodgy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
These stories sound very epic, dramatic, and amazing, but only in telling. EVE Online is famously difficult to enter and have fun. It's glorified spreadsheets in space, but all the more amazing that people get so invested and get so much out of it. I mean, come on. That is
That's
incredible.
So good. Yeah, stories like that, people going just that ham on these sort of games. You hear about Red Dead Redemption, people are just joining that with just a gang where they're so strict about people falling in line and having roles and all the rest of it. Then you hear something like this. Just I want to be like a fly on the. I want to be a fly on the wall in that and actually just like that should be spectator sport, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would
Oh
pay
my
for that.
God.
And also,
would pay for that.
EVE Online
100%.
is notorious for not having rules, so you could be a literal double agent. You could literally be in the employ of one of the coalitions and be a spy for like years, and suddenly be activated. Like, all right, I'll do this, and yeah, there have been things that happen like that, like people just stealing actual dreadnoughts from people because Yeah, it's part of the game.
It's actually got me thinking that I'm looking forward to the next EVE Online war. And hopefully they'll sell tickets. We can make some real bank off of that.
buy a cruise ship and have it like just on the edge of the system, just overlooking the battle.
I'd be tempted to jump into the game just to try it out at that
Oh,
point. Just to be like,
Oh no,
"Ooh."
no, yeah, but Shadow has said it pretty much there. It's difficult. It doesn't really have a difficulty curve. You
It's like a
start out in a
wall.
game,
Yeah.
and then you just meet the bottom of the cliff face. You just
Mhm.
keep going like, hey, boom. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, you look up and it's like,
Why are these wars
oh.
not like set up like giant tournaments? God, you can imagine how that would look. That'd be glorious. Giant marathons of people streaming of it.
According to the
I-
elves,
I-
there's also someone in Eve that tends to a graveyard. Um,
Yeah, that's great, but
Nice.
yeah. I think maybe why the reason why it's just hasn't become like the spectator sport that it is like compared to other games like like your MOBAs and your League of Legends and your fighting games. It's just accessibility at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like and also that because things like Elite Dangerous, EVE Online have ridiculous learning curves to be able to get good at it, and the fact that we've heard that these wars actually do cost a lot of
Oh.
money and like that there's real tangible consequences to doing this, whereas if you just pick up like League of Legends for free and you can possibly become one of the best players and go to all like the live events and all the tournaments like that. But yeah, people are putting in money, their own like hard-earned time and cash, importantly, to buy gigantic colossal ships that do end up getting destroyed in these big battles. And yeah, that's an investment down the drain. There's no such thing in things like your fighting games, your like your Street Fighters, your Tekkens, and certainly not in your like your Dotas, League of Legends. It's just accessibility. I don't see it becoming like the next thing at like
No.
the Evo or the like.
The
There's not
Eve
going to be like an
Evo.
the EVE Online International. It's not going to be the same thing as like Dota 2 International. Not by a
No,
long
I
shot.
didn't think so. But you wish you could just tune in and watch
Oh yeah.
something
You
like
wish
this
you
go
could just
down.
see it. Yeah, just
Maybe
from
there are
afar.
streamers that have recorded these sort of things. There's got to be footage of it somewhere.
So we
Oh my
are
God.
a 2/3 of the way through our show, as we're on to question 21 as of 30. So that was a little overwhelming. So let's take it down a notch. What can you do in 8 seconds? And why
save
and why are there puddles of red everywhere?
This picture,
Mhm.
I love it.
Oh, shit.
Such good memories for me. Oh.
So what can you do in 8
Brilliant.
seconds? Yes, Laura.
Is it hack one of the old Pokemon games in such a way where you can like access a bug in the menus and you can get to the credits in like 8 seconds?
You are very, very close. That not the right game, but you're completely right in that it is a speedrunning technique. Scarfulu.
I mean, it's basically you're right. It's like one of a game you can beat in 8 seconds. So like, but I'm like, I had like a couple of answers in mind, but now I think they're wrong.
Okay, no, I mean, I didn't say it's a game. I said that Laura's on the right mind. That it's a speedrunning technique. I mean, if you want to,
okay.
you want to make a guess on anything, Scarf?
So I know that like games like Gone Home and Mist, if you know the exact places to click, you can beat them very, very quickly. But I don't know if it's 8 seconds.
Okay, Scarf. That's right, Scarf. Weird.
Link to the Past.
No,
Diddy Kong Racing.
no. You keep naming
the only
games,
two
I'm going to
that
start
come to
deducting
mind.
points.
They're the only two I can think of because I feel like I've seen videos where people have done ridiculous hacks in order to get right to the end. But I could have sworn it was something like it was maybe not Link to the Past, but is it a Zelda game?
No, but I will say one of you is linked to the answer in some way in terms of your buzzers.
Oh, it's you, son of a bitch.
Yes, Scarf.
Is there like some kind of something with Doom where you can like
Absolutely.
beat a game in 8 seconds?
Absolutely. E1M1, the hanger. You can beat it in 8
Oh,
seconds.
the level.
Yep, you can beat that level in 8 seconds.
Ah.
8 seconds. So you can beat it.
I can see I can do that. Yeah.
The original record was 9 seconds, but in 2019, speedrunner 4 Shock Blast beat Thomas Pilger's record from 1998 and beat the level in 8 seconds. 8 seconds to beat a level.
Blimey.
What are you laughing at, by the way, Nico?
Oh, just I just was looking at like the comment section. Sorry.
Dying in Dark Souls, yeah. Feels like losing a game.
Tiny dinosaurs.
So there have always been a lot of incredible speed runs over the games. Games, things like games done quick. I
Mhm.
Yeah.
talked about one already when doing Symphony of the Night with Scarfulu, when in November 2018, speedrunner Rom Scout beat Symphony of the Night blindfolded.
Mm.
Yeah,
This
there's
guy.
like there's so many like achievements of that kind of caliber. I don't know if it was necessarily like done as a speed run, but just like as the world first. I know recently like one of the top Celeste runners has recently managed to finish the pure, what they call like the pure 100% finish of Celeste, which includes all the chapters, all the
Mhm.
B-sides, all the C-sides, all strawberries, everything like that, deathless. The first pure deathless 100% run of Celeste was completed recently. I forget the name of the guy. He's a guy that goes around. His profile picture is one of the characters from Deltarune, I think it is. But yeah, it's on record now. There's a pure 100% deathless
That
Celeste run, which involves, I think he said it involves doing that game and doing it all deathless, like at least twice over, which is freaking
I've s-
ridiculous
I've
thinking
I've
about it.
I've heard the requirement just sort of from the Gerard playthrough of just how many times that blows my mind.
Yeah, it
The requirement to complete that 100% and deathless of all things, that's ridiculous.
there are some people who are very serious about how they play things. I'm just basically gonna
Oh,
re-pull up the
sure.
image here. I mean,
Yeah,
the
you're
image
trying to get the images sorted, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
because one of the images there you go. There is Rom Scout playing Symphony of the Night blindfolded. And I think in the end he managed to complete it in, I think it was like an hour and like 20 minutes. Which Scarf,
Oh,
you've played
that,
Symphony of the Night. You know how long that took
yeah,
you.
yeah.
You had your full vision.
I mean, yeah, it's a whole Metroidvania, you know.
Yeah.
True, 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 true.
Blindfolded, and this is what this is all about. It's about finding it is because it requires in fact an hour and 24 minutes blindfolded, figuring out the game by sound cues and intimate knowledge of the map and enemy spawn points.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's the kind of knowledge that speedrunners will go into meticulously. It's not just what they can see on the screen; it's what they can hear in like specific sound cues.
Mhm.
It's like knowing about like pixel perfect, like frame perfect inputs. It's knowing these kinds of things that gets them through, and that means like theoretically, like these games can be done can be done with taking your eyes away. They can be done if you are aware of timings of your inputs and you're aware of listening out for cues that point you to I'm in this part of this stage or I am coming up towards this like big jump or something like that, and I know when I have to press the button because I have played it so many times. I know what to hear, I know what to listen out for, and I hear for this specific sound which says okay, I'll press this button either now or in a few frames time or a few seconds time, and they'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot and SGGQ like incentive runs which are kind of like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll try a run of the game blindfolded because I've been practicing it, and they're saved for incentive runs. So, but was that an incentive run?
I
Do you
can't
know,
remember.
Eback?
I can't recall if I'm honest. You were gonna say
All I'll
something? Wade?
say is when it comes to next Game Blast, I think a general agreement between all of us, none of us do any games blindfolded. Please, that doesn't sound like a good time to me.
Fair enough.
Especially if the game is hot. I don't want to do that one blindfolded.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Let me say, Weird, when I did my 12-hour karting, you know, I had the reward that said if you donate so much, I will blindfold myself, and somebody did it. He knows who he is. He is in this chat right now. He knows who he is. He did it.
Thank you very
I
much
had
for
to
the.
do at least three. I had to do at least three runs in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I was
wouldn't wanna do
blindfolded for
that.
those runs.
I would never want to even do that. That sounds horrible.
Thank you very much for the 14-month subscription, by the way, Lemming. I do appreciate it.
Yay, Lemming.
Now we've gotten to like for most of the questions, and like I want to say here that there's also mentioned here that the game of the year, there's a teleport glitch in Elden Ring that made it one of the fastest games to speedrun, and speedrunning is reduced to finding the most optimal road to the point to the end game. And in July 2022, a speedrunner, TV finished Elden Ring in 3 minutes and 58 seconds.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've
Faster-
heard about
that's-
that. Yeah,
That's fast. That's faster than Super Mario Bros.
that's faster.
Yeah.
But that
that,
was a
that has to be one of those like cartoon slingshot stories, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like this giant slingshot just goes like
Now-
and just get
Like
launched all the way to
running
the
on
other
a
side of the map.
for the wild or something, just sending yourself to the castle.
now-
I'm pretty sure actually that's how Half-Life 2 speedruns are done. I'm pretty sure they
Potentially.
use the gravity gun and then just clash themselves into something, and that creates so much momentum that just goes
So we've
all the way
answered-
over the map.
we've answered
There's
one.
several methods you can use, but yeah, that's among
Yeah.
them.
We've answered
That's
one.
so cool to see, by the way.
We've answered one
That's
half of the
absurd.
question. There was the second half of the question. And why are there puddles of red everywhere? Could anyone give me an idea of what that means?
I mean,
Good question.
Panels of red.
Puddles of red, yes.
Were there rules put on the speedrun? Are we still talking about
We,
speedruns?
we are still talking about speedruns, yeah.
is that still related to Doom as well?
Not Doom, no.
Okay, so it's just related to speedrunning in
Yeah,
general.
speedrunning in general, yes.
There's a game that has rails and whatnot in red. That the parts that you can ride along are just on red parts. I'm just trying to remember what the game was now.
It seems like you're
That
thinking
might
of
have
Mirror's
nothing to
Edge.
do with this. Mirror's Edge, that's the one.
Yeah.
Is
No,
it anything
no.
to do with that?
I don't think I wouldn't
No.
imagine it's that.
It's not,
No,
no.
okay.
I didn't think any of you would probably get it, but one of the most bizarre speedruns are the ones where you use unique hacks to make the game glitch. If for
Oh.
example, if you want to speedrun Dragon Quest on the NES, you have to glitch out the game when using a dragon gem to max out your characteristics. In a normal state, this is extremely difficult to pull off, but speedrunners discovered that if you put the NES on a hot plate and keep it at a stable 85 degrees centigrade, the transistor conductivity changed enough to make the glitches more reliable and stable and allows easier execution of them.
And welcome to my cooking show where we're going to speedrun.
How do you come up with this?
Jesse, we got to speedrun Dragon Quest.
It gets weirder. It gets weirder.
Jesse, warm up the plate. We've got the speed run.
Someone called Sam Weech.
It gets weirder. An even more bizarre technique is used for another game in a speedrun community for SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom on Xbox out
I know
of
the
Gen
story,
6
I know the
console.
story.
I feel like
Oh,
I've heard of that. Oh,
Go on,
God.
go on,
Let
go
me
on,
get to
guys.
the bungee jump or
Oh
something.
god, isn't it something about?
God.
I think it might be the same as like you have to put something on the disc and that wouldn't like read a particular bit, or you have to hit the system. It was something one of those two.
Points to Nico. There's a widely known trick.
Blast had that as well.
There is a widely used trick called the lag clip, which allows you to engage in clipping through objects when the game lags. But these lags are also unpredictable and unstable. However, if you have a clean laser emitter on your console but a dirty DVD, the game will lag much more predictably, and you can improve your speedrun drastically. It can be smeared with grease, sweat, or more effectively, with ketchup. Hence the puddles of red on your bikini bottom. Luckily, they are just ketchup.
We are still on this strange cooking show right now.
Your face, Scarf, is a picture.
How do you get to the point of discovering this stuff? I was experimenting with ketchup before. I tried
I've got-
mustard. I tried
So-
gravy. I've lost 50 PS1s.
Hey, bro, can I borrow you a copy of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom? Yeah, sure. Why is the ketchup all over the disc?
It's funny as well. There's another one of those like weird stories about like how you misuse products to kind of be faster in a video game. And Tetris on the NES had that. I don't know if it was recently, but it happened quite like the last 5 years or so. But if you have, let's say, let's pretend this is an NES controller for now. But if you press obviously the normal D-pad on the top, you will be able to put your inputs in as normal. But it turns out on the NES, on the bottom of it, if you press like in a very weird angle, very hard on it, you can increase your button inputs by quite a bit. Which means on the faster levels of Tetris on NES, you could input faster, which actually allowed people when they play against each other to get even further than they originally could. So now you see people holding the controller very weirdly on their lap, pressing the bottom of the controller to make sure that they get the inputs in. It's very
Wow.
interesting to look up.
Ah.
Weird, your face as
Yeah.
well went through an adventure there as well. Like,
I'm just imagining scenarios where someone's sleepwalking and they're just like, "Well, I was making a BLT. Now I hold a world record in Tetris." Where did all this money come from? I'm not going to explain.
well, I mean, games
Jackson SpongeBob, anyone?
need to be solid, and of course, built up from solid foundations. And all things great are built upon solid foundations. Speaking of building, what was the first Lego video game based on a licensed property?
Ooh.
Oh, and by the way, for the sake of you guys, there's your ketchup on your bikini bottom.
Is that? Oh my god! These.
Yes, Sneaker.
I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I think it actually is Lego Island because they have pizzas and stuff in them, and I bet there's a couple of brands in there.
I don't.
No!
No.
See, I don't think that's true.
So I think the name of it escapes me, but it is before the time of Lego Island. I think it's by a few years as well. I just can't put the name.
Oh no, the audience! Oh no, the audience! Oh!
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, that's because to me, Lego Star Wars is the obvious answer, but I'm pretty certain there's something before that.
Can I hazard a guess that it's
there were-
something that was featured in
Is
a cereal box, maybe?
No,
CD
no.
available
Like,
in a cereal box.
If I
right?
just like quickly name, I'm not guessing here before people start
No,
noting
you
things
can't.
down.
Oh,
and stuff. Like, you
Accents like that, you can't do that.
no. Oh, okay, sure. I won't say anything then.
Oh, no,
Trying
go
to
on, go on.
think.
No, I don't know. You got like Lego Rock Raiders, Lego Chess.
Yeah.
Those
Lego
two
Island was
maybe,
bef-
but
Lego,
that's
Lego
not
Island
intellectual
was before
property.
those.
I'm just trying to
Was
think
it
which
just
Yeah.
what's a
was it
licensed
just
property.
called? Was it just called Lego?
No. There is it is a game, and it is based.
I think I know. Is it something called like Lego Lego Land, because they had like this making that you can make your own park
No,
in Lego Land, like Roller Coaster Tycoon style?
we are talking about Lego as in like based on a franchise. So, yes, weird.
Lego Bionicle.
No.
See, Bionicle is owned by Lego.
Yeah,
so
it's
it
owned by
wouldn't
Lego.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bionicle could be a
Okay.
series, isn't it?
Yeah, but it would be the same as Rock Raiders. It's just a line of Lego. So
Any other thoughts, anyone? I'm gonna have to give it up because the audience have already got it. It is in fact Lego creator Harry Potter.
really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, it is in fact
Ooh.
Lego creator Harry Potter. I know it's one of those things where
Okay.
everyone thinks Star Wars, and I completely agree. It was released in 2001.
So you would just go dabs.
Yeah.
Created in 2001. Released in 2001. Followed by creator Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The next year, the first Traveler's Tales Lego game, which all Lego games are
Yeah.
derived from, didn't hit shelves until 4 years later in 2005, making Lego creator Harry Potter the first ever video game based on one of the licensed properties. Given the popularity of Star Wars in comparison to Harry Potter Thailand, it's not really surprised you'd assume Star Wars, but it simply isn't true. It's Potter. And what I say, at
They've
least
not done too badly, have they? Really,
Yeah.
with the Lego games.
no,
Bloody hell.
they haven't. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
much for Harry Potter's creator though. The bitch. But that's
There'll be some casualties of war. It will happen.
there are casualties in war. Right. Speaking of a different kind of wand, what can you do with a banana?
This sounds like an ape escape question of some
Oh, we're
sort.
back to Donkey Kong.
I think you can. I know what you can do with a banana. You can fix scratches on your game discs with it.
You can.
Have
This is
you
the-
tried
Dang it.
this? Is this why you've
yeah,
not
it
split
does-
consoles?
It was for the longest time. It's like it fills up the scratches up a little bit, and because of that, the corrosion is a bit less, and that could make the game read a little bit better. So that was like maybe that's.
I'm just
how-
cleaning my discs. Yes, Scarf?
Can you use it as a controller
Correct.
if you hook it up correctly?
As a Wii? A Wiimote?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the story of somebody who streams on Twitch using a variety of like different inputs, and there is a way that he was able to hook in several with wires and such, hook in several bananas
Hmm.
for different inputs. And what did he do? Did he play Dark Souls with that or something, or Bloodborne, or like a FromSoft game?
You
Dark
are
Souls
Easily
you are dead
something.
on correct. They beat
Yeah.
Dark Souls with it. There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Yes.
was thinking. Yeah.
That's madness.
Going back, there's also a patent as well for this. On February 4th, 2021, the US Patent
No,
Office
still out
published
there.
Office
These are my
published
bananas.
a Sony patent US 20210031110A1 system and method for generating user inputs for a video game. Describes how any non-luminous passive object held by a user can be a controller. A camera would be reading an object and tracking it in the user's hands and interpreting it as buttons on a controller. As an example, the patent uses bananas both as one object, like a PS5 controller, as multiple objects, where you do wield bananas like Joy-Cons. If the technology gets developed, perhaps Sony will be ready to remake the Ape Escape series, run out banana controllers. Why banana controllers have existed for a while, though, as you mentioned, YouTube Rudism, known for playing games wrong, played Overwatch with a controller that he constructed out of bananas. Where touching different bananas would close different computer banana body circuitry and just pressing different buttons. Yes, Garth.
I assume he was playing Winston.
Yes, he played Winston. Points.
Oh, dear.
It was really bananas,
Yeah.
but eventually he got pretty good at it.
Where's a klaxon for you? We need a klaxon for you at this point.
Well, what do you know? I am one to oblige. It's
If we had a text box, I would just say "Emac, stop."
Yeah, all it would just say is really, really. Oh god.
On a side note,
Banana
the
controllers.
same YouTuber also played Hades on a pomegranate.
Yes.
Ah,
Good. That's
fantastic.
good. I like that.
Good.
Oh, I
in-
can't wait for Hades 2. Oh,
uh,
I can't wait for it.
In
Me too.
In March of 2022, another YouTuber, Super Louis64, built a similar contraption using an electronic kit called Makey Makey and played Elden Ring on a set of bananas, including buttons like horse banana, heel banana, or dodge banana. He got really far into the game, and multiple bosses fell to his well-squeezed attack banana.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, well, there we go. Right, so fruits of labor should be repaid. Should you be concerned if your significant other has been doing nothing except farming for the last 5 years and he's slowly starting to resent it?
This is based on a real story, isn't it?
Mm.
Someone played Farmville for years on end.
Yes, Scarf.
Did somebody get left for a Stardew Valley character?
Ooh, you are.
Oh.
You are. You're not right, but you are very close to the right line where it's to do with Stardew Valley.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Did they play through it long enough for the game to break or something?
No, it actually wasn't someone playing the game.
Huh. Did someone fall in love with the game without even playing it?
No, I mean,
Was it to do with fan art?
yes, Scarf.
Is it to do with the developer?
You are correct.
Because it's a single developer who worked on the game. Did him working on the game for so long affect his relationship or something?
There was this,
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
This refers to Eric Barone, also known as Concern Ape, who met and bonded with his girlfriend and partner over shared lore for the Harvest Moon series. And then he'd write
Hmm.
a new and better Harvest Moon game for them to play together in 6 months. He said he'd do that in six months. It actually took him 6 years and a lot of hardships, doubts, and struggles with life outside. He was unemployed, and his family and girlfriend were supporting him financially and emotionally. And inside the game, he was constantly rewriting every part of the game because they did not meet his expectations. He quickly grew to despise the entire effort, and at many times was close to abandoning it until it finally released and published the work under the name Stardew Valley.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Is there a
Very
happy
interesting.
is there a happy ending for their relationship? Did they
I
get
don't
back
know.
together?
Elves, could you find out if there was a happy ending for that relationship for me, please? That's a good question. I mean, you'd like to think so. I mean, he made it for them to play together, so you
The ultimate
imagine.
twist would be if the partner ended up saying like, "Oh no, I love Stardew Valley as well. I thought you sucked, but the game was fine."
Shadow says Eric pretty much was supported by his girlfriend working 2 jobs. So yes, the relationship
That's him.
was kept on until the end. I imagine if things are broken off, he'd lost in any that would have been it. But yeah, fully for him for them for just carrying
Yeah.
on. Yeah, not just him
Well
for
done.
working on it, but her and the family for supporting him throughout the
I
entire
mean,
thing.
Mhm.
even if whatever relationship they had turned south on the end of it, if he I would assume like the the stuff that he made out of royalties for the copies of the game just sold would have at least set him up if
Mhm.
it went south on that. So yeah, because Stardew Valley it's monumental, isn't it? Yeah,
It's one of the modern classics, it seems. According to Shadow,
yeah, yeah.
they seem to still be together. So let's leave that on a happy note. I
Yay!
Aw.
think
Oh, brilliant! That's a good
a
ending. I
happy
like
kind of
that.
ending to that. Let's move on from that. So of course, that's a lot of time to work. Time to put on some tea on. Speaking of which, why would singing about a teapot cost you very dearly?
Oh,
Yes, weird.
uh, Disney claim from the copyright claim for Beauty and the Beast or something like that.
You are right that it's a copyright claim. You're wrong that it's Beauty and the Beast.
There's another song about tea.
There,
Okay.
there is, as it's related to a video game. We know what it's about.
Oh, fudge. What game? What game spills the tea? Fudge, fudge,
Where
fudge.
hey,
Uh,
No clue.
no,
No one.
I'm
No
trying.
one. No one.
Mm, oh wow.
Does anyone? Does anyone know about the song, the children's song? I'm a little teapot.
Well, yeah.
Short
I'm a
and, short and
little
stout,
teapot.
yeah.
Children's sound. Yeah, of
Was
course.
that featured? That was featured in the game then?
It was.
I'm trying to think
it-
which one.
In fact, it was featured
Is it-
in Ratchet and Clank: Quest for Booty. Developers on Sack learned about how very dearly this can be costly. On PS3, there's a set of doors that won't open until you sing to them. The writer, TJ Fixman, thought it would be a nice and silly idea if they opened to the nursery rhyme, I am a little teapot. It turned out the rights to that song are being kept and guarded with lawyers who are prepared to make it very nasty for the developers.
Wow.
The game was already released, so they had to pay royalties and learn a hard lesson about checking what belongs in the public domain. Let's roll the clip. Let's actually watch it, shall we?
Ooh.
Okay.
Can you put it on? Can you at least focus in on it so I can see it? 'Cause
I'm-
it's still your Discord thing.
It
Trying
will
your
have.
best.
It's trying its best. Give me a second while I pull it up for everyone. There we go. So, this is the Keem in Morrow Caverns is what it was. And I'm just going to enable the sound on there so we can all just hear that. Big props to this. I couldn't get the sound isolator, so I had to go through this. There we go. I'm going to bring this up here for us all to listen to and center the audio so that my colleagues can hear. And then I'm just going to turn it off because you guys can't hear this anyway. So there you
Yes, fine.
go.
Okay.
There we go.
Song of the dead shall open the way.
It's come back to me now, yes.
teapot, short and stout. Here is me handle, here is me spout.
That is Captain Slag singing
Wow.
I'm a Little
God, I love
Teapot.
Slag and Pete. I love Slag and Pete.
You gotta love Slag and Pete.
Yeah.
You gotta love Slag and Pete because they're an iconic duo.
So they got in trouble for putting that in. Or...
They got in trouble. They indeed got sued for that purpose.
Oh.
Yes, it was very much something which they were quite embarrassed about. It's an ancient song, but it was tied up in a lot of rights that were still being defended at times. The writers of Insomniac are very not afraid to live dangerously, testing what risque game titles they can get away with, such as the PS3 game All for One had a rejected title Foreplay and multiple organisms.
Yep.
Into the Nexus was supposed to be called Into the Nether Regions. But the other games managed to get away with Going Commando, Up Your Arsenal, Quest for Bootley, and Full Frontal Assault. So there were a few they got away with.
They sound like Crash Bandicoot levels in the newest one, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Going Commando and Up Your Arsenal right there. As classic game. Classic
They're the big
games.
ones, isn't it? Yeah.
Ah.
You read just a little bit into it. A crack in time. Is also big.
Yeah,
course.
a crack in
Tasty,
time.
tasty.
All right, question 26. We're close to the end, everyone. So you have just, as you say, rules are made to be broken, or at least bent over. You have just crafted this item. That means you have broken what? Scarf.
The Geneva Convention.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not allowed to put the red cross in video games anymore because it breaks the Geneva Convention. That's why a lot of them are changed to green crosses or different like green hearts or anything. Like Doom re-releases no longer have red crosses on the med packs because of that.
You are absolutely you are 100% correct. Points. You've broken the Geneva Convention, one of the most important international diplomatic agreements. Among other things, it restricts the Red Cross symbol for the sole use of organizations that bring help and protect war victims. For the symbol to be effective, the Red Cross organization has to make sure that the emblem is universally and unambiguously recognized as such. And so it has to keep vigilant for cases of different uses for it in advertisement, media products, or organizations. And it's no different in video games. Developers from Introversion Software got a message from Red Cross regarding the Red Crosses on ambulances in the game Prison Architect. id Software received them regarding medkit in Doom and Doom 2 games, resulting in the medkits changed to subsequent games of that studio. Bungie developers also received a similar message regarding their medkits in Halo Combat Evolved, as seen here, and promptly changed them to the letter H instead.
I will add that Team Fortress 2 still has its red crosses in it. They haven't been told off for that yet.
Really?
Yeah. It's all of it is still in there. I guess nobody's told them about it, or nobody's bugged them to change it.
Keep stum, everyone.
Yeah. It actually hasn't been changed in TF2.
Team Fortress 2
Ixnay on the Ross K.
They're breaking the Geneva Convention. Oh my god.
Yeah, Valve breaks the Geneva Convention.
Wow.
Yeah,
but like a lightning bolt, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done.
Yeah,
rough.
I knew that one. Yeah.
Here's one for the classics on you. So, what went wrong if your date, instead of getting out of their clothes, exploded or shot you? Yes, guy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You entered a fake cheat code that was an urban myth.
Well, I can't. Nah, I've got to give it the man again. He's got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tomb Raider did this.
Yeah, the nude Tomb Raider
Nailed it.
code,
Well done.
which was supposedly a cheat code in the first game, which was fake. But then when you tried to enter that same code in the second game, Lara would do a backflip and explode.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nailed it. Absolutely.
And on a similar point to that, maybe this one is a bit more of a deliberate thing, just to have a bit of a laugh about it. But I think the most prominent example of I think San Andreas or Vice City in the Grand Theft Auto ones, there is literally a code that you can input for a cheat, which is called "kill yourself." And it just basically just does that. It just, put it in, and your character just drops dead. And it says you are dead. You're wasted, and you reset.
By the way, weird.
There was a very famous clip of that. If anybody watches the Yo video games crew with Maximilian Dude, they just had a clip of them doing like San Andreas, and Kenny is giving them codes for like getting all the best items and all the monies in the game. And he reads out one code, and Max puts it in, and then the character drops dead, and it's like, okay, so we're going to respawn at the hospital with all this stuff on. We're going to have all the money and the weapons. And then he says, no, the code just kills you. Turn around to him like, are you for real now?
By the way,
there's another thing with the Konami code.
It's called kill yourself.
There's another one with the Konami code about this too. So we all know
Oh.
the Konami code and stuff, and how that obviously
Mhm.
upgrades you and stuff. But there was one game, I think it's a Gradius game, that if you type in the Konami code, you would indeed explode as you ship. But if you rather than typing left, right, you type in LR, then you actually get your gold mode in the game. So they still had the code faithfully, but they just
Ah.
changed one little thing around just to keep you off guard.
Oh, by the way, weird.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Given the image, is there like a comment or a meme you wish to make?
Who, me?
Yo,
What?
I'm at-
Yeah,
On the image.
yeah, about the image. You know,
Just, I
Delete
just, I,
this.
how has Bear been responsible for
Yeah,
Bear
yeah,
and
but-
Shadow both been making these, or
yeah. Burrs be making all these. Is there like a comment like you make a meme all the time? What are you famous for saying on a certain investigation string?
Mhm.
I have a gun.
Oh dear, it's,
Yeah.
You catch me out all night, you sods. Also, I didn't say that. I said I have a
D-
gun. That's
d-
different.
don't deduct the points for that one, please.
I
Mr.
swear.
Government.
Yeah, that was entrapment if I ever saw it.
Murdered man killed live on stream. Yeah. I'm the problem. The problem is he does know where
Revenge.
I live.
Indeed. But revenge is coming on Sunday, you sods. Oh my god.
So yes, it is of course related to the Lara Croft game. Back in 1996, a British studio called Core Design created a 3D action adventure game called Tomb Raider. Apart from the beautifully back then designed world, creates exciting story and exploration possibilities. It also featured a gorgeous lady as the main character, which was rather rare at the time. People immediately fell in love with the polyhedral beauty with Lara Croft and her tetrahedral tits. And since most gamers back then were teens, sorry, I just had to use that term. Also meant that me the intense urge to see her without any clothes on, especially after finishing the tutorial, which ends with her teaching how to swim. Lara gets out of her pool and says, "Right, I'd better take off these wet clothes," although not as suggestive as that. More matter-of-factly, so I don't know why people read into that too much. Back then, there was no internet, but the community still had ways of creating and passing rumors, and see about secret codes, about where you take off the clothes. Yeah. So there was all talk about the Nude Raider code. Core Design co-founder Paul Douglas and programmer Gavin Rumney reflected later that the rumors had annoyed them a lot because A, such a code never existed, and B, they'd been meeting people at parties who thought they were perverts making pornographic games for children. So they decided to have their own revenge in Tomb Raider 2. They added a code for the most populous rumor: step forward, step back, turn around 3 times, and do a backflip. But instead of getting Lara out of her clothes, it would make her explode. If that was not enough, there's also a scene.
Image.
There's also a scene at the end of Tomb Raider 2 where Lara's about to drop her bathrobe and take a shower, but she notices the player still looking at her through the camera, hoping to see her undress. She grabs a shotgun and with a scathing "Haven't you seen enough?" shoots the player. Nude Raider rumors would follow Core Design for a long time, though, including having to fight their own marketing team, who suggested that adding an actual nude Lara code might be good for the game's publicity. I would, not sure.
Yeah.
Not today. That would definitely not fly. No.
I mean,
People don't need to do it these days. There's
know.
more than enough going around. You don't need to feed that. They'll just make it
it's-
themselves.
People mod it
That's
in
like-
now anyway, so
It's like saying oh you should put yourself on fire and run around in London. Like that'll give you some attention. I'm like, yeah, it will,
it will, yeah.
but you're gonna be burned.
not for long though.
Yeah. Yeah, not for long though. Yeah.
You
I can see what the market.
dead.
All right, so
Oh.
we've got just a couple more questions left. So, entering to the next one, which is also my favorite image as well. What does a platoon of knights, a crystal, and a beloved vampire RPG franchise have to do with each other?
Oh.
Crystal,
Crystal, Platoon of Knights, and a
Uh-huh.
vampire franchise.
Yep. Have a crystal audience.
Oh my god, with these pictures. It's insane.
Yes, Scarf.
Developed by Crystal Dynamics.
Yes, you've got one half of that. Yeah.
Okay, so Legacy of Kain is the vampires. Uh,
Ooh.
I'm assuming the crystal is reference to Crystal Dynamics.
Mm.
But the platoon of knights, I'm not entirely sure about.
They weren't the Knights of Raziel's brothers or the Saruman. Oh, what were their names in the game?
We're dropping Legacy of Kain lore on us all of a sudden.
I've played Soul Reaver. It's one of the few Legacy of Kain games I actually played.
You
'Cause my brother
surprise
owned to play.
you surprise me more every day, Mr. Weird FTW.
Yeah. No, it was because that game was based on Raziel, and he was one of like 7 brothers in the game, but only 6 of them were actually featured in that game. The 7th one was brought back for a future game or something. I don't know if
Points.
really.
I mean,
Nice.
you dropping Legacy of Kain lore, I never expected to see that hear the day. So yes.
Yeah. It's one of the very few I've ever played. It was a good one as well. I enjoyed that.
Right. So, but you're good, but no, wrong. It's points, but it's not the answer. I'll give you points because you were interesting, not because you were correct.
Yeah. So.
Actually, we're talking about a company.
See, I would have thought
They are known for
jumped in this
They are known
for
for
like Vampire
making.
the Masquerade or something.
They are known for.
That was my initial thought.
They're
but-
known for quite a couple of. They kind of grew to very big prominence in the GameCube era, especially on the GameCube with some game releases.
Platoon of Knights.
Platoon of Knights, vampire game.
Am I having to take it? That's a no.
Dear.
I'm seeing a lot of suggestion in the chat of a Pokemon theme.
No, it's not.
but,
It's not Pokemon.
No.
No.
On the GameCube?
GameCube.
Scared.
Fuck,
I'm scared to say Retro Studios.
No.
Retro Studios have a couple of like cancelled projects.
No, but
that.
no. Oh, it's actually we're talking about Silicon Knights here. The company
Oh.
Silicon Knights.
Silicon Knights.
I don't know what they've made. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not Digimon, is it?
They made 2 Human, and that didn't go well for them.
I'm talking about the Legacy of Kain Blood Omen specifically. Back in the early 90s, Silicon Knights conceived a game called The Pillars of Nosgoth for the then Panasonic 3DO. The game itself never materialized in that exact
it was an MMO,
state.
wasn't it?
Very much so. We're going to like that online.
Yeah.
As Silicon Knights entered into a partnership with Crystal Dynamics, Silicon would develop while Crystal Dynamics would publish the game. However, this would lead down a dark path that would ultimately lead to the two companies parting ways. No one really knows what happened, but there was a researcher we could find on the NeoGAF forums called Mama Robotnik, who spent a long time researching the actual court papers and managed to uncover that Silicon Knights accused Crystal Dynamics as misrepresenting themselves as the game's developers and used their position as a publisher to basically wipe Silicon Knights' name off the title, effectively.
Right.
Adding to the increased stringent requirements to Silicon Knights' duties under the Kain Development Agreement, while refusing to cooperate and respond to Silicon Knights' request for assistance, resulting in months of delays, hindering the ability to meet deadlines, withholding royalties, advances at critical stages, secretly soliciting and employing third-party contractors to shadow Silicon Knights' efforts at producing various versions of Kain and supplying these third parties with Silicon Knights' confidential proprietary trade secret information. And they also posit that Crystal Dynamics attempted to sell certain rights to Kain and all its Kain's derivative to Activision for $2 million. That is what Silicon Knights ascertain.
Bloody hell.
Meanwhile, Crystal Dynamics paints an entirely different story. They say that Crystal Dynamics' Seth Karakas acted as an unofficial third-party producer, was elevated to the lead designer to fast-track the game to meet deadline requirements, leading to elements of the game to be entirely redesigned, along with a rework story done by people at Crystal Dynamics, which Silicon Knights does admit that several Crystal Dynamics staff was flown out to live in Ontario, where Silicon Knights was based, to work on the game for several months. This whole thing led to a very complicated situation where Silicon Knights conceived the game, Crystal Dynamics supported, funded, and owns the game, Activision published and distributed the game. And for the years the game did not get a good old games release due to the litigation between both Silicon Knights and Crystal Dynamics over who really does hold the rights to Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. Most likely why the sequel was
Huh.
developed under the name Soul Reaver rather than Blood Omen.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
See, I
Yeah.
remember. See the Pillars of Nosgoth. That is actually a feature in one of the games in of itself.
Yeah, that is.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a central location that you find Cain and Raziel meet and also discuss, and it falls into ruin and all
If
the
you
rest
look
of
at
it.
if you look at the design document of Pillars of Nosgoth, you'll see that basically the characters are all there, just with different names, and
Yeah.
leading to this idea that, well, did Crystal Dynamics create the whole thing, or did Silicon Knights create the whole thing, or did Crystal Dynamics refine it? Because they did refine it according to them, and of course, this is why eventually the game ended up in the hands of Eidos Interactive and such. But effectively, no one really knows who did own the rights to Blood Omen, the original Blood Omen. Yeah,
So they said sort of situation. Just no one knows
yeah,
the real
no one
truth.
really knows. It's criminal for such a great game as well. It's one of my favorite, as I like to refer to it. It's Gothic Shakespeare. As it is. I mean, there it is. There's the two companies there, the two accusers, as it were, and of course the game stuck in the middle. And at the end of the day, it's the gamers that kind of pay the price of this, really.
Mm.
But yeah, although if you have a PlayStation 3, you can still download Blood Omen on the PlayStation Store. While it's still there, go get it now.
Quickly before they take it away.
Before they get away. Okay. Next question. Why was Until Dawn cancelled?
Everywhere?
I said it was cancelled.
Until Dawn.
Yeah, Scarf.
Is this not referring to the Until Dawn by Supermassive Games, but an entirely different Until Dawn?
No, we are referring to the same
Okay.
game, but
It's the same game. Okay.
you are close in that in terms of that you're being coy. So you are very
Mhm.
very close. Yeah. Yes, Nico.
I'm taking a very stab in the dark. Was there a scandal with one of the actors, like the drugs or
No.
marriage problems? I don't know.
No. There's no controversy in terms of that. Timing is the issue, and that might give you a clue. Timing.
Oh,
Oh, was it in? Was it alongside some sort of? Well, I see. I've not played Until Dawn, so I don't know what happens. But was it? Until Dawn was a recent? In recent years, was it?
It was.
it?
I think
it was
Until Dawn was 2020.
yes.
Oh, did it coincide with the pandemic?
Not 2020. It wasn't 2020.
Until Dawn came out around 2015. I want to
Yeah,
say.
2015. Yeah.
Yeah.
2015 for sure.
Because basically the game starts with like basically like a couple of teenage girls supposedly dying on like a sort of little camping trip or a trip to like a lodge out somewhere.
Yeah.
Was there like something in the news that coincided like a similar story? So perhaps it was like delayed because of that.
No, you'll kick yourself
No?
when I eventually tell the answer.
Okay.
Anyone got any more ideas?
Was it not released? Was it not released? Was it not released at dawn?
Nice, I like that.
It's just like, damn! This is midnight. This will not do.
No.
I don't know.
So it's a very interesting situation that happened for this. And I'm gonna have to give points to Divot, who just got it right there. It was cancelled for PS3.
I
So-
see.
I was it was either a specific region or a specific like location that got cancelled because
It's for new- It's for new gen consoles at the time, and
It
they
did,
just decided to
yes.
commit to that.
Yeah.
just the new
Yes.
gens, so they
Precisely.
couldn't do it. Yeah,
But it was a rather weird kind of a situation. In 2010, 2011, UK-based first-party studio was facing a really difficult challenge. They had to make an interactive horror about teens based on the slasher trope and showing the power of the PlayStation system. It was London studio, known for many games such as the PSI gadget, the iToy, iPet, SingStar series, etc. they're now having to make a horror game. First person perspective, operating on things like flashlight object manipulation and such, manipulation wands and such. In 2012, they passed the game to a third-party studio, which was Supermassive Games. Supermassive made tons of progress with the game, but along the way they realized the free nature of the game and the use of the eye and the wands and such, which they were having, made the game really hard to write the story they envisioned. They wanted to make it more faithful to teen slashers, and do a more atmosphere style they could do. So they abandoned the pretty advanced works on the current PS3 version and started making into a new game, which was static, more cinematic cameras, third-person perspective, QTE-based controls, working with both wands and regular controllers, and a more cinematic, higher quality graphics than the newly released PS4 could offer. They abandoned the work on the old Until Dawn and started rebuilding the game on these new paradigms. They hired new actors, including more famous faces to accompany Brett Dalton from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hayden Panettiere from Heroes, Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, one of the the only Peter Stormare as the creepy narrator. They've invested a lot of time in the motion capture, especially with facial expressions. The game in the shape could never be released on PS3. It was too weak of a platform, so they abandoned it completely, which resulted in Amazon sending out an apology letter saying that their pre-orders had been refunded because Until Dawn for PS3 had been cancelled. And with that, the industry just ran with the idea that the game had been cancelled and it would never see the light of day, until that led many people to believe the game had been cancelled altogether and caused a bit of panic amongst gamers and the media. Supermassive had to dement these rumors and assure fans that the game was still in development, but not everyone believed them until 2015, when they released the game that became the sudden but unexpected hit, bringing a lot of people to PS4 and the interactive horror genre. Ever since then, Supermassive Games is mostly doing games like that. The Dark Pictures Anthology, The Quarry, all of them very popular and looking great at various levels. From just meh,
Yeah.
like Little Hope, to really great ones like The Quarry or House of Ashes.
Yeah.
Blimey.
I was thinking, like, was there some kind of content that was like picked up for maybe it being cancelled for a particular region? Because recently the news of
Wow.
the new big horror game Callisto Protocol,
Ah.
you cannot actually buy that in Japan. The the NTSCJ, whatever Japanese regulators of like rating medias, they refused the rating for Callisto Protocol based on its content. So
Oh wow,
you
I didn't
can't
know that.
you cannot find it in Japan now. Yeah, so because I was then thinking about it. Was it because Until Dawn was also cancelled for a region that we were know of? I mean, like because the country that comes to mind as well is Australia, because they've had a few notable examples of being very sort of stringent with
Yeah.
with giving ratings out for their medias that go over there, like stuff that seems like tame and like 16 plus will be actually given like the AO, or just flat out not given a rating for in Australia, purely based on content.
Yeah, I think
So
Left 4
I
Dead
didn't
2 was banned in Australia.
yeah.
Mm.
So I didn't know if there was some kind of content within Until Dawn, like within its themes, that said that somebody in some region looked at it and said, "Yeah, we can't give this a rating, so you can't play it," because that's what happened to the Callisto Protocol in Japan. Which is fine,
Yeah.
because if I
Yeah.
wanted to pick up Callisto Protocol, I still have a UK account and should be able to get it if I do want to play Callisto Protocol. Which I
Knowing
don't have
you
plans
are
to do
definitely
so
not.
now, but yeah. I don't have plans to, yeah, but I just know Callisto Protocol, you cannot buy it in Japan. You
And
cannot.
there above is one of the examples of the email sent around saying, "Hey, your pre-order for Until Dawn has been cancelled and money's refunded because it's been cancelled." So yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy that people just suddenly like it's being cancelled entirely, when no, it was just being refashioned into a PS4 version. So yeah, why was Until Dawn cancelled? It wasn't. It merely wrapped itself up in a cocoon to transform into a beautiful butterfly.
On
On
the PS4.
What a lovely
Beautiful
thing to
PS
do.
on
beautiful
to
PS4 butterfly.
the final question, which all I've got to ask is, where the hell is Matt?
Oh god.
Yes, weird.
Has he stopped has he refused to take part in a game that he was previously scheduled to take part in a
The-
voice in a voice role or something?
no, it's no. Yes, Laura.
Oh.
Again, a little bit of an probably not the right answer, but a bit of an anecdote because it relates to me. The people that are responsible for again bringing it back to Celeste was originally the company that make it have rebranded now, and they're now known as Extremely OK Games. Before that, and before Maddie Thorson's official transition, they were known as Matt Thorson, and the company was Matt Makes Games. I don't know if I have the right answer, but that's just an anecdote that I just thought of
No.
there and then.
It's not correct. Anecdote was interesting. Points. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yes, Nico.
I'm guessing Matthew Mercer, because he gets contracted quite a bit through loads of projects. I bet he just didn't show up for one because he forgot he was going to work on one.
Well,
So
you're
they were
assuming
trying to make something, and then he was like, "Where is he? He's not
You're
here. He's supposed to help us."
you are assuming that we are talking about Matt Mercer here, which that is, of course, the
Mhm.
trap that we're not. Well, but good thought, but no, that isn't it.
You just wanted
Sadly.
an excuse to use Matt Mercer in a picture. I mean, but then again, why wouldn't you?
Well, actually, no. We
Yeah.
started with the questions. It was Burr who was the master. Burr's done all this. He's the master of these pictures. He's done an amazing job throughout the entire show.
Right. So now we know this is about a Matt somewhere in the world. That really narrows it down.
It does narrow it down, doesn't
Or is
it?
it like
No, I think this we need to kind of focus a little bit more on the question as well. It's where the hell is Matt? Hell
Yes.
involved.
Where the hell is
Okay.
Matt?
Is this a Doom question or something?
we're talking Matt M-A-T-T, not like
M-A-T-T.
Matt Collar.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, M-A-T-T.
okay, not like a Matt colored system that
No.
never came out.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think you guys are going to be getting this, but it is related to a video game, and it is related to a video game that is pretty popular, released about an alien back in the 2000s. You have an idea what I might be talking about? Recently had a re-release.
Destroy all humans?
You are correct, Scarf. It's in relation to all humans. Any idea what it's related to?
Is there an NPC called Matt who wasn't in the remake for some reason?
No.
That would be my guess, yeah.
This is one of my favorite kind of anecdotes and stories, and I didn't think you guys would get it, but I thought you might know about it. Anyone heard of the video series called Where the Hell is Matt? YouTube.
No.
What are the first
About that, yeah.
viral things to go live on YouTube? Videos created in 2005 and 2016. Where the Hell is Matt is a series of videos that show Matt Harding dancing in various interesting places around the globe, from the outback of Australia to, of course, the we've got pictures of him. Yeah, the outback of Australia to Chicago to the Icelandic geysers to the Bolivian Salt Lake to Madagascar jungle and even outer space. But before Matt started dancing, in the late 90s and early noughts, Matt Harding was a game designer at Pandemic Studios Australia. And he was working on a family-friendly game when it got cancelled by the studio. Bitter and resentful, he went to the management team to tell them a few choice words about the industry's obsession with shoot-'em-ups, gritty, violent games, where he ended with a sarcastic joke about they needed a game about blowing up and killing everyone. The management and publishers, who were ignorant to the term sarcasm, were enthusiastically excited about the idea and decided to make that's the game the studio should make. But that only made Matt angrier for some reason. Instead of working on that game, he decided to take a 6-month trip around the world, take a long break from game development. At one point in his journey, he got an idea to record himself dancing in random places. The video he posted to YouTube upon his return went quite viral and made one of the early YouTube celebrities known as Dancing Matt. So he then continued to go on journeys and make more videos. In the meantime, the game he pitched but didn't want to work on was created and released in 2005 as Destroy All Humans and was well received and got a few sequels and a 2020 remake because, despite Matt's complaint, people like explosions and violence.
Yeah.
Wait for that to backfire.
There are people that want to destroy all humans.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a market. And with that,
Yeah,
that is
I was-
absurd.
yeah. I want to say,
Oh.
yeah, Matt's completely vindicated when he went to that complaint saying there's too many gritty, like grey shoot 'em ups coming up around right now. It's like he was vindicated.
Mm.
He would have my back in. Even back then in 2005, he'd have had my back in. We need child
Whoa.
games. We need color. We need whimsy.
A whimsy in the world. And with that, we come to the end of our show. All 30 questions and well timed for the 3-hour mark. It's almost like I planned it.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. And of course, I'm just waiting for the points. So we have so of course, topping the high score table today, we have Scarf on 150 points.
Oh,
Jesus, well done.
Very nice. Not
And-
surprising at all, but very nice.
Following up the rear, putting her initials on there is Laura. Is actually not Nora, but Nico at 79 points.
Hey.
But following on the heels at 77, 2-point difference, Laura Petal.
Oh yikes! Well done, Nico. Well done.
And finding himself at the change machine without spending any amount of coins, with only 28 points. Weird FTW.
Yeah.
I figured it'd be the Alan Davis of this group, but yeah, I didn't realize it'd actually come true.
Oh, just I've really enjoyed the show. I hope you, as the audience, have enjoyed it. I hope
that was
these guys have enjoyed it.
that was really
and
good. I really enjoyed that.
It was a
That
great
was
show.
fun. That's fun.
I enjoyed putting this. I want to thank especially very much Burr and Shadow, my QI gremlins, for
Yes,
their assistance and
100%.
help.
Yes.
A lot of it was really their work. I'm just the presenter. So I want to thank them so much, and for the emotional support as well, and for the support of you guys. And I'll leave you all with an iconic quote, a quote that will ring through the ages. And I think everyone will remember whence video games are long, long gone. I used to be an adventurer like you until I took an arrow to the knee. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.